What's going on? I am Nando.
And I'm DJ.
I'm Diggins.
And this is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woo! This week, we are looking at a movie that it's very likely that has not been seen. It's probably, if you're doing a movie that we have, like a movie that has been released in theaters, I think, like, technically, this is the one that has had the lowest box office of all time. Even more than, like, Cats and shit. But we're going to talk about it anyway, because we all saw it. It's going to be a lot of fun. How are all of us doing? Because, okay, so real quick, because eventually, sometime in the future, we're going to release two podcasts. First one's going to be this one. Second one's going to be Invisible Man. They're not necessarily in this order. I was waiting on Invisible Man because we recorded the Invisible Man podcast, and I usually want to listen to it, so I listened to it, and a day passed, and something was going on in, like, just like, you know, I couldn't put it up. And then the next day, all this coronavirus stuff happened, and it was like, oh, man, I got to listen to the show again to make sure we didn't say something really terrible, and also just to kind of get a sense for where the world is in a day. And I didn't put it up. And then more time passed.
Because of all the terrible things we said.
Right. Yes, exactly. No, we didn't say anything terrible. But the fun part is everything we're talking about in the beginning is canceled. It's like, DJ, who are we got to make that March Madness bracket. Otherwise, people aren't going to be able to. So I didn't want to confuse people. So we haven't put that podcast up yet. I think probably what we're going to do at the end of this podcast, like at the end of our recording session, is record a little bumper that plays in the beginning. Or a teaser, I don't know what the word is, but just is like, hey guys, listen, it's not, just go with us on this one. But we are recording this one on March 16th at around 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time.
Which is important.
It's super important. If dragons start walking the earth and now we're like, it's silly that dragons are dogs, now you'll know that is a thing we didn't know happened at the time. So we have to ask how everybody's doing. But first, I think it's important to introduce another voice into the podcast.
Get ready for a 10-star runtime.
Oh my God.
Whoa. I hope not.
Exponential stars? Is that what you're saying, DJ?
Yeah, but we got to flatten them.
We got to flatten the curve. Michelle's to come in later, so we flatten the curve of podcast guests. Oh, the world.
So, Disney expert Michelle Karachi is here. Please say hello to the people.
Hello to the people.
Hey, hello to the Michelle.
Hi,
we got it.
We're the people and we love you.
We, the people, in order to form a more perfect podcast, have Michelle on to talk about a Disney thing. This is a Disney thing.
Love Disney things.
It's still open. How cool is that?
No, it's not. They're closed.
Not anymore.
There were
World
pictures
and
from
land.
yesterday. There were some pictures. I think they closed. I don't know if they closed today, but
Yesterday.
It was yesterday? Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to go, ahead of the curve.
They were definitely open last week because I was there.
Yeah.
Right, but Paris.
That's true.
Yeah, Paris, which is famously doing super great right now.
Oh man! All right, so let's talk about it real quick. We got to throw this out there. So we are all currently socially distancing each other from one another, except for the two of us that live in the same place. But
yeah, Nando and I live together. This is a little known fact.
I know he sits on my lap at all times, and it's the amount of work we have done for you guys. Listen. To keep the microphones from not like bouncing off each other sound wise is insane because Diggins sits on my lap and he's like, you know, a head above me, so like a foot above me, and he has his own little cardboard box full of soundproofing that he talks into, and I have my own cardboard box full of soundproofing that I talk into, and we hear each other on a delay. It's a very complicated situation. If you live with a roommate and you do a podcast, I would recommend it. However, you know, it's not a sanitary way to do things at all. I don't think it would have been good if they did the debate this way. I think DJ said they're still doing WrestleMania. I hope they do that this way, where both wrestlers are sitting on each other's laps with little boxes, and then the boxes are ventilated 6 feet away. There's a lot of ways to play this. Innovation in the time of Corona. That's going to be the big, that's the surprise. We're going to see how things go. So obviously, you know, things are very exciting, and we'll go through because we have 4 guests, and as obviously I just described 10 seconds ago, we all remember that. We're in 3 different households with 2 different, you know, one household has 2 people. So I'm going to ask DJ as the main member of the podcast,
As the man of the house, which is good.
as the Lord
Listen.
of the Manor. I'm going to ask DJ 2 questions. One, how is everything going? Can you explain kind of the situation over there? 2, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Delectable or scrumptious? We need you to make a new judgment on not her like attractiveness, but just her crossbow skill. You know, we want to make sure that's out there because time has set in, and maybe you've made a different, you know, judgment on that. So yeah, you talk about the household first, and then kind of explain Mary Elizabeth Winstead's crossbow abilities.
All right, great. So the household is Michelle and I are both self-quarantining because I don't have it and we don't think she has it, but I found out today actually that I came in contact with someone who has it, so that's fun.
Oh my gosh. DJ Tom Hanks and Idris Elba all shared a hot tub. It's the best moment of DJ's life.
The hot tub was good, but the doorknob licking competition after was even better.
Oh,
so that
you're not
was
supposed to do that. That is, listen, and they don't even put that in the thing. They should start putting that in all of their recommendations.
Wash your hands. Self-quarantine if you're sick. Don't lick doorknobs.
Wash the doorknobs before you lick them.
Yes.
Don't do either of those things, anybody. But anyway, so anyway.
We're stocked full of food. We're both working from home. You know, luckily, I would say we're in a pretty advantageous position because if you are a board game enthusiast, my God, what a time to be in this situation. So I'm going to play so many board games, just the 2 of us, and until we hate each other. But you know, probably look into some Daily Burn. You know, go for some walks.
We're gonna get
so
fat.
We're
Everyone's
gonna
get so fat.
We can all exercise, though. We can do Corona exercise. It's not, you know, it's...
Everyone's buying Ring Fit Adventure for the Switch, and that's how we're going to stay in shape. That's not even a joke. There's like serious shortages of that game because everyone's buying it.
I believe it.
What about Pelotons? I'm gonna force Michelle to do Peloton. I'm gonna scare
and
her.
Then she'll
be
make
like,
a video.
Peloton.
Yeah. Make the love video so everybody knows. Yeah, that's smart.
Day 1, I'm so nervous.
We didn't even know that was COVID. And listen, and we'll start here. This is a very crazy, serious situation. However, you've heard all of that, and we're not making light of any of it. But beyond that, it's a very, you know, we're in a weird time, and we have to kind of, you know, we have to add as much levity without being insensitive as we can, because we had to add. There's going to be a lot of podcasters are doing the same thing. It's a weird situation, but because of the way everything, because of the way podcasts are recorded these days, it's one of the only forms of media that is kind of unaffected by this. So we all have our perspectives, and we'll give them to you guys.
I think we could do our usual shtick here that we do while being mindful that this coronavirus is a serious thing. You should take precautions.
Absolutely.
We're not the podcast to tell you what those are. You could go on the CDC website.
Oh, do not listen to us. We're a group of clowns.
There's a good podcast. I forget what it is. There's a podcast about infectious diseases. God, someone recommended it to me very recently. I would give that a look if you can. I'll try to figure it out while DJ is explaining Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Right, so that's the state of our house. And what's one thing I didn't say about Mary Elizabeth Winstead? I thought her, isn't it weird that...
Well, you did just call her Mary Elizabeth Winstead, which makes me think that you're about to say she's full-bodied like a wine.
No.
DJ.
Is it Winstead or Winstead? I think
it's Winstead.
Oh, well, blah. Isn't it interesting that she has a very similar haircut as Ramona Flowers as she does Huntress? Because, those are two different characters, and they have, kind of a similar hair thing going on.
Isn't it weird, DJ? That's a great point. Isn't it weird that James Bond has a very similar haircut to Benoit Blanc and the one from Logan Lucky.
Their
Now-
hairs aren't even similar. They're both just short.
Yeah, and Ramona Flowers has like wavy hair and it's colorful.
With bangs.
It's a
across the
very
front.
specific haircut to that character.
Yes.
That's true. If you look at Huntress's hair, like the comic book character, it's all like long and stuff. Well,
Yeah.
I would say that her hair in Harley Quinn movie, long title, was divine.
Oh, there we go. Good. Everybody
so-
enjoy your cringe. That's kind of your,
Everyone,
I'm
please enjoy our
terrible.
new segment, Countdown to DJ's Restraining Order from Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
yeah.
Look, if we're in a thing now where everything's getting canceled, mostly sports because of the virus, but cancel culture's still a thing. I'm sure there's a joke there. We could cancel me. I haven't been canceled yet, but my time's coming. I've gotten away with too much for too long.
It's true.
It's time for me to be canceled.
Fair.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Michelle, second. And can you guys explain the BAPS name? Because that was something that was from the board game.
Oh.
I wish this had a way more interesting backstory. Like, I really wish it did. But there was one day where our D&D group was driving to, I want to say, the Renaissance Fair. And as we were driving, we passed a store called BAPS. And for whatever reason, we all started cracking up. And that's it. That's the story. So we all just
Very good.
referred to ourselves as, that's it. That's the story.
Well, there's
If
another.
only at the time you'd been passing the vape ape shop.
So there's another reason for it though. It's wasn't it that it was the first letter?
No, we
of-
made an acronym using it.
So you backed into it.
Yeah,
right,
we
okay.
backed into BAPS.
You bapsed into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like you bapsed into that pun.
Yeah. So, Michelle, listen, you probably got a better beat on this than DJ is willing to, give
yeah.
information on. What is he saying about Mary Elizabeth Winstead? In a very respectful manner, but is it, what are the words that he's using? Is he using? Because honestly, it's not that DJ's got a character here, but DJ's it's a podcast. He's got a little bit extra. Is he saying she is terrific? Is she saying she is wonderful, stoic? What actually nice and acceptable words is he using to describe the character of Huntress in Birds of Prey?
Oh, the words on the tip of my tongue. Not rumptious. Not delectable.
Oh my gosh.
Very good.
Oh, you know what it was? Delicious.
Oh my God, he's back, baby.
Man.
She's listen. She's a great actress. Everybody,
Yes.
let's on the
She's
count of
extremely
three.
talented.
Let's all name our favorite Mary Elizabeth Winstead movie. Everybody gets a second to think
All
about
right,
it.
hold on. We go to our IMDb.
Yeah, let's go to our
I was
IMDb.
gonna
We got to
say.
figure this
No,
out.
I don't even get
Well, I know yours, Michelle. I think
Because
Hannah.
she's a great actress, and I think she does voice work that I'm kind of forgetting about. That's always how I'm always like, oh, that person's great, and then I go back and I'm like, oh yeah, and they were also in this. Let's see.
Oh, I got mine. I got
let's
mine
see. I'm gonna
easy.
try to find a fun one. I think I might have mine.
We're all doing this
too.
at the same time, like
The
a
same
cacophony?
time. We're all gonna do 3, 2, 1, and then
All
we'll
right.
all
Yeah,
kind of
it's going to
explain
be
it.
great.
All right, cool.
There's some good ones. I'm between two, but I'm gonna do the one that I feel more connected to. All right, is
Yeah.
everybody ready?
We're gonna
Yep,
name
I
the
got mine.
movie, not the character.
Yep,
Yeah.
the movie.
Movie.
The
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Okay. Oh, me and DJ did the same
Whoa,
one. Yeah.
That was crazy.
Very
That was
good. All right.
crazy.
It's a great movie. I think it's a really fun
Can we
movie.
restate the movie for those of us who couldn't
Okay, yeah.
hear?
So me and DJ both did Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, where she plays Mary Todd Lincoln. Michelle, which one's
Great.
yours?
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Of course. And Diggins?
course.
I obviously said 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah.
So my backup was Sky High, a movie I saw in theaters and I've watched several
great
times
choice.
since. Yeah, she's fun in that. But Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. If you've never seen it, I don't know where you can see it, like what the place you can watch it is, but it's a fun
give
picture.
Google a search.
It's the guy that plays Abraham Lincoln. I don't know what else he's in. It's great. Anthony Mackie, the Falcon, great in it. And that guy who's in movies, who is something, whatever. I couldn't even tell you. He played that guy that in movies you're like, oh, that guy, whatever his name is. He plays the lead vampire. He's also pretty good. But yeah, I'd say it's a fun watch. Okay, so that's the Babs household. Real quick, I figured out what the podcast is. The podcast is called This Podcast Will Kill You, and it's about infectious diseases. And they had a great episode on just coronaviruses in general, so I'd say give that a listen if you want to get a kind of a sense for that. Diggins, how are you doing? How's the whole up?
It's great. I was in Paris last week, which is, as we said, famously doing super great now. I am holed up in my apartment, and I have a cold, which is probably not coronavirus, but maybe it is. Who can say?
We'll find out. You know.
Hey, Diggins, describe your cough for the audience, because we did, yeah, go.
It's extremely wet, which makes me feel better, because
Yes.
a dry cough is the symptom of the coronavirus.
Can we even call it a moist cough if we want to really mess up everyone's day?
Yes, there's the moisture of this cough is incredible.
There we
And
go.
You guys said I was creepy. That's the creepiest thing to say.
You love
Is
to
that
hear it. Yeah, I think it's good to hear. And then
So we'll see how delirious I get over the course of this podcast. I'm guessing at least a little.
I mean, in Casa de Nando, we are, we have opened up, we have like broken into the strategic reserve of giant bottles of liquor that I panic bought, because we're having a good time. I watched Onward. We're going to talk about that. It's
the first time you mentioned what
I know. I think it's worth mentioning.
No, at the beginning, you said no one saw it.
Yeah.
And,
I don't think we ever actually
empty.
said what it was, though.
But
We said, right?
No.
Whatever.
I have a lot of good stuff here, and I've got a lot of like good movies and games and stuff to keep myself interested and like kind of kept entertained. I have a wonderful cat here who is keeping me company. But besides that, you know, we're holding it down. We're holding down the fort. And I hope everyone is doing well. We're going to talk about the movie today. But it was, you know, I figured it was worth mentioning. And I think I'll probably be streaming more on Twitch in the near future. So keep an eye out for that. It's like twitch.com/NandoVideoMovies or something.
Let us know so we can play with you, Nando.
Yeah, exactly. I think Apex, Battlefront 2, and Overwatch are the games that are on my immediate docket. So we'll keep everybody posted. You look on my Twitter for that kind of stuff. All right. So, guys, what are we talking about this week? We're talking about a movie, a Pixar movie. One of the 2 Pixar movies from this year. The next one is supposed to come out like later in the year. Who knows what's the story with that? A movie called Soul, which I'm actually pretty excited for. Good trailer.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, that looks fun. This one is fine. It's fun. But that one looks kind of. It's got that Pixar like let's do something weird kind of vibe. This week we're gonna talk about a movie called Onward. It stars Tom Holland. I keep wanting to say Hiddleston. It's Holland. It's Holland. Tom Holland. Chris
Tom
Pratt.
Netherlands.
Yeah, exactly. Tom Holland, Chris Pratt, Julie Louis-Dreyfus. I think Octavia Spencer's in there somewhere. Others.
Yeah.
Those are the big 4. It came out this week, and it is one of the biggest box office bombs in history. It made less money than Cats.
Not really its fault.
No, it's its fault. It's the worst movie ever made. Again, Cats is better than this.
Wow.
The money don't lie.
Cats is better than every movie, though.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be on VOD very soon. So I'm really excited to hear people that
Midnight
haven't seen
tonight.
it talk about it. Yeah.
By the time you're listening to this podcast, dear listeners, you could go out and watching Cats right now.
If there were ever something that was going to unite us in this time of troubles, it was going to be the Cats movie.
Oh my God. I need to tell everybody.
Yeah. So, all right. So here's where we are right now. We're going to talk about Onward for 2020. You guys know how we do this. We're going to talk non-spoilers and then spoilers. So if you don't want to hear the spoilers, and there's a couple, like, you know, not even spoilers, but just like general plot points. I would say listen to the beginning part, then pause the podcast, then wait an insane amount of time, or this might go on Disney Plus, so who knows? I think this might.
Should.
Yeah, I think it will.
It really should.
And then go. Oh, Oh, real quick. We have to talk about this. I as much as I want to talk about Onward, I think we have to talk about the big news. This is very important, and this is big business, for the Mostly Nitpicking podcast. Guys, New Mutants has been delayed a fourth time to sometime in the future. What are we doing, guys? What can we hope for?
Put it on Disney Plus, right?
Hulu. I think Hulu.
Hulu, sure.
You want to get people to watch it that haven't watched it yet. So I think, or that don't subscribe to the thing. So I feel like they have to pick the thing that everyone isn't already subscribed to and like choose that.
I'm not convinced New Mutants even exists.
That's a good point.
Hasn't come out yet, so
They put out a really promising looking trailer. But I mean, that's, anybody could make a trailer for anything.
Long-time listeners will know that I am always on side the movie's not coming out.
Yeah, what was your one movie that was never coming out?
Fantastic Four.
Fan Four
yeah,
Stick.
Fan Four Stick.
The
and that
whole
did.
time, man.
Fox is full of them. If Fox says the movie's going to come out, you can never believe it. But a lot of fun memes came out of this. There was anybody that's read Watchmen, there's a great picture of Dr. Manhattan just sitting on Mars, living through time. It is January 2018. New Mutants has been delayed. It is March 2018. New Mutants has been delayed. April 2019 delayed. May 2019 delayed. March 2020 delayed. It's bizarre. And it is killing me, but I really do think we will get some sort of VOD or Hulu or whatever version of this movie, and at some point in the future, we will do this. Like, we will talk about New Mutants, and I'm so excited. If there's ever an episode that is going to warrant me opening the ceremonial bottle of champagne that is sitting in my apartment doing nothing, it'll be the New Mutants episode. But okay, just had to bring that up because of what?
Sorry, on this thread, Nando, I just wanted to also bring up one more point, and that is near and dear to this podcast. Fast 9 has been delayed for a year.
Oh my god, so sad.
So now, does this create an interesting opportunity for us? Someone on Twitter, and I'll try and find it real quick, but what they recommended is, given this, what we'll call it, opportunity, what we can do is every month we could do one Fast and Furious movie and do them all by the time Fast 9 comes out.
We could do it every week, honestly. We've
got
some movies coming up.
Yeah, we don't need to. So it was at the Poochie Kid.
Yes.
On Twitter said, first he wanted to know when the Invisible Man podcast is coming out. Soon.
Very soon. I had a hard time deciding what to do with it because of coronavirus.
And they said you could totally end up doing about one Fast and Furious movie a month leading up to 9 over the upcoming year. And I think that is an awesome idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Including the ones you guys have already done?
Well, so we've
haven't done
Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, and that was
But besides that, I think we're good.
Yeah.
I would say, obviously, so episodes we're going to do in the near future. I think next week is going to be Hunt, because that is VODing, and that's just probably going to be fun. The only movie we have not done as part of our March Madness bracket winners and stuff like that is the Speed Racer movie, which I think is really on the docket. But after that, it's wide open. So I think that's when the fast movies will start. We'll start living our lives a quarter mile at a time.
Yeah, I think everyone's really excited to learn your opinion about the Speed Racer movie, Nando, because you've been famously very reticent about that.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not like that is literally the thing that I am throwing out to the world every minute of the day.
That's true.
But the specifics, I'm interested to see what other people think of it. As the only person that truly understands it, I'd love to hear what
even more
everybody
than the Wachowskis?
It's I think it's Wachowski, right?
Wachowski? That could be
the
true.
Wachowski siblings, and they're they're great, and I love what this movie. But I think there is a certain amount of bias that comes with making a piece of art, and that piece of art is meant to be consumed and enjoyed, and the way that the art is absorbed by the audience is the purest form of that art. So I think there's a different level there that I have managed to achieve, some sort of Speed Racer zen. And speaking of cars, we're talking about a movie where what if magic but cars? Onward, 2020.
Cars 2.
Well,
What if
it's
magic
cars.
but
The
cars?
word onward specifically is part of the car. So you can't deny that this is a movie mostly about cars. Michelle, I know you listen to the episodes and you know the story here. We're gonna play a game. It's called Guess the IMDb Summary of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
DJ and Diggins, I would say, are about 50-50 on it. I would say DJ might be a little better than Diggins. I think this version, like the IMDb summary for this, just to like tip the hat a little bit, it's not bad. I think we'll get into its shortcomings, but we'll take a shot at it. I'll tell you this, it's one sentence. It's got a clause in it, obviously. Not even a clause, but it's not just like, a little family does a thing. But, yeah, it's not super long. So I want to start. We'll do DJ as the reigning champion, Diggins, and then Michelle, and we'll see who gets closest. So, DJ, what is your IMDb summary for 2020's Onward?
Okay, remind me the name of Tom Holland's character.
I'll
Lightfoot.
give you this. The character names aren't in it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So go crazy.
Oh, wow. Two brothers embark on a perilous journey to try and reunite with their father after a spell that he set up went awry. The two brothers... Actually, that's it.
Okay, that's a good
Yeah.
place to start.
Boom. Yeah.
Diggins, go get him.
After the spell that would let them see their father for one day goes bad, two brothers must quest across the land in order to see him before the time runs out.
All right, Michelle, what do you think?
On his 16th birthday, a young magical elf has to go on an adventure with his brother to save their father from a spell within 24 hours.
Okay.
So I've a bunch of you, like you guys all got one or two of the special words that are like pretty specific to the description. I will say none of you quite got it. There are some specific things that everybody missed. However, I am going to give DJ the win because he got one of the most important words, or one of the really specific words that I think is kind of fun.
I bet it's a rye.
Is it quest?
No, you'll see. It's so
Delicious.
Here's the actual IMDb. Yes, exactly. Here's the IMDb summary, and you'll hear it and you'll go, "Oh, I see which part it missed." So, set in a suburban fantasy world, two teenage elf brothers embark on a quest to discover if there is still magic out there. So all the dad stuff doesn't matter. DJ got the word embark, which I think was very specific. Also, he did the two brothers, I believe, which was some of you guys had one brother and then his brother, but listeners can go back and check on it. But I would say DJ's was closest. Also, DJ's was lightest on details, which is what the IMDb summary was. Because, as we usually get into, that's not what this movie is about. It's not about them going, what if magic is out there? It's about them trying to figure out a specific spell to, like everybody kind of got at, bring their dad back to life for 24 hours because of his spell. But yeah, so that's the IMDb summary. It's directed by someone named Dan Scanlon. He seems to be the guy who you bring in for, so he's known for, he directed this, he directed Monsters University, in a movie called Tracy, not quite sure what that is, some sort of mockumentary. He's not one of the guys. He's not one of, the stable of Pixar, mainstays. And he's labeled as a miscellaneous crew member on Incredibles 2. Like I already said, stars Tom Holland as Ian Lightfoot, the young kid who is a blue version of the character he plays in Spies in Disguise. Chris Pratt as Barley Lightfoot, his older brother who's into Dungeons and Dragons, which is also some sort of historical fiction in that universe.
I think you mean Quests of Yore.
Yeah. You got Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Laura Lightfoot, their mother. And then you've got Octavia Spencer as a character named the Manticore. The only other character who I think is worth mentioning is Mel Rodriguez, who plays a character named Colt Bronco. I'm not familiar with this actor as part of this. Like, I didn't see it, and I wasn't like, oh, yeah, that guy. He's been in things. I wouldn't say he's like quite air quotes unnamed like the rest of these guys, but I'm sure if you go through his IMDb, there'll be some show where you're like, oh yeah, I've seen that show. I guess he's from George Lopez or whatever. That's just one of them. I'm kind of going through the list. None of them are jumping out at me. But yeah, this movie was a huge bomb because it is a bad movie everyone hates.
Oh my god!
No, it made $10 million because of coronavirus. It is an 87 on Rotten Tomatoes with largely positive reviews. So we're gonna talk just like general opinions, and then we'll hit some spoilers. So we'll start with DJ like we usually do. DJ, what did you think of Disney Pixar's Onward?
I like this movie a lot. I have to say that the movie's like really sad. Like, I know Pixar is generally they recently been in just like the movies are gonna make you cry market, and there's such a focus on death in this movie, and it's okay. They handle it like really well. I think Pixar generally does, but so I just want to compare it to Coco for a second, because I think Coco has some similarities that are kind of obvious that go into this movie. But like Coco, I really felt leaving the movie so happy, just because I thought the story was so good and like the ending was like really good. But this movie's still really sad at the end because, well, spoiler, the dad doesn't come back for all the time, like, for forever, it's some other maybe predetermined amount of time. But so it's kind of like still sad. It's not hollow, but just leaves you kind of at the end. So it's a good movie, but I just left the movie felt kind of weird. And I don't know if that was fully the movie or fully just all the crap that's going on. But yeah, good movie, but just kind of get the Kleenex out if you're gonna watch it. So yeah, that's me. Definitely watch it. In any normal environment, I would be like, definitely go out to the movies and see it. I think it's worth the experience. But let's just hope that if you haven't seen it, because you probably haven't, it winds up on Disney Plus within the next few weeks. So that's what I got.
So DJ, as I listened to that, I heard one word. That word was hollow. So DJ thinks this movie is much like 2000's Hollow Man. What if Kevin Bacon was invisible and bad? Okay.
Well, that'll be a teaser for a running joke in our Invisible Man episode. If
that hasn't come out yet.
One of these days. Diggins, what did you think of Disney's 2020 Pixar's Onward?
So I thought Onward was it's a fine movie, is my main takeaway, I guess. It's not in any way bad. It's totally well written, lots of funny jokes. The story totally works. But it just seemed to me for a lot of the runtime, at least, it kind of missing that Pixar magic that makes their movies so delightful most of the time. And I mean, they've had some stinkers before, like the Cars movies, but this is the first time.
And Planes,
and
right?
the good,
Planes?
the Last Dinosaur, or the
I've never seen The Good Dinosaur, so I can't comment on that.
A good movie.
From what I understand, it had a lot of development problems, and I don't blame it.
Did you see it?
I've seen enough of it that I understand not what went wrong. Oh no, not even kinda. But people that explain it are like, oh, it used to be this, and this is kind of what it was, and they made a lot of changes, and I don't blame it, and I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's a good movie with lots of dinosaurs, some good, some bad, one a pterodactyl. But anyway. Sorry, Diggins, I didn't want to interrupt your thing.
No, it's fine. But it's the first non-sequel Pixar movie in a while where you watch it, and it's like, that was fine. It was a perfectly good movie, but I don't know that I'll remember it in like a year's time. Except for a very specific emotional attack on me, which we'll get into when we're talking spoilers, that makes it more memorable in my mind. But I don't know that it speaks to the quality of the movie so much as just the events of my life.
I mean, Diggins, I think I know what you're talking about. It's a very familiar movie to you, because you're constantly running into people who know your parents at fast food restaurants.
Yes, exactly.
That's what it is.
Oh my
Yeah.
god,
That's
that
what I
scene
figured.
kills me.
It was not the most elegant way to deliver that exposition.
Yeah, well,
Right?
I don't know. Exposition's tough, and I don't blame anybody for having a hard time with it, because some of the movies we've done recently do it bad.
Yeah, again, that's the thing about this movie. It's perfectly good. It's just not special.
Okay. We'll go Michelle and then me. Michelle, what did you think of Disney's 2010s, Pixar's, Disney Plus's probably Onward?
So I liked it in that it had a lot of elements that drew me in as a main, like, target audience. Like, oh, it's very, like, D&D oriented. Look at all these magical creatures in this magical world. And even one of the brothers has Barley has a D20 on his vest. And I was like, cool. And the game, Quest of Yore. All very things that I am interested in. Not to mention it's Pixar. And I haven't watched a recent Pixar movie where I haven't cried during it. So I was fully expecting that. But this movie in particular took it to another level. In the same vein as what Diggins was saying, just it hit me on a personal note that I wasn't ready to sort of be hit on. And it's not my favorite Pixar movie, but I enjoyed it. Like, I definitely agree with DJ in that you should go watch it because it's worth seeing. But
Well, maybe don't go watch it, but see it
wait,
eventually.
Yeah, don't go watch it. Don't go. Don't go.
brave
Stay
the- but
at
yes.
home.
Yeah.
You should watch it, but don't risk coronavirus to watch it.
Right. So you think it's not your favorite Pixar movie?
Oh, I
What's
know
your-
it's not my favorite.
What's your favorite Pixar movie? Just curious, since you
Coco.
brought that up. Coco?
Yeah, Coco's my favorite.
And then your second favorite is Cars 2, and then Cars 3.
How did you know?
You know what? The sleeve tattoos you have of Cars 2 and then Cars 3 really give it away. I'd say, you know what? I think I'm a little hotter on this movie than you guys. I think Will Smith
Really?
delivered a great performance
Will Smith?
as Daryl Ward, the cop who hates fairies. And I think Joel Egerton, under a lot of makeup, really gave it an amazing performance. No, of course, I'm talking about 2017's non-Disney, non-Pixar's Bright. But honestly, I do think I'm a little hotter on this than you guys. I think as a Pixar movie, I don't think it's breaking any new ground in terms of animation or, like I said, I think I brought something like Soul, having just seen trailers, and even like Inside Out or I've seen most of Coco, but I haven't seen all of it. But like I can see it being like, wow, you could never tell this story without, the unique art style of Pixar. And I think this could easily, having seen Bright, be some sort of realistic. Obviously, it would probably cost a ton of money, but I don't think this movie completely needed to be Pixar. But I thought the story. And specifically, I was kind of not like hesitant on it, but I was a little lukewarm on it. I liked the beginning. I thought it was like, whatever you'd expect from what that premise is, how what the trailers were and kind of how it's sold. And then I enjoyed the middle, but I was kind of like, where's this going? But I really thought it stuck the landing in terms of the end, and I thought I would say, out of the last 5 years of Pixar movies, besides Coco, which is probably the best one, I would say this is right up there in terms of second or third best. Like I said, doesn't quite rise to the bar of like amazing Pixar animation, but I really didn't mind it. I didn't think anybody was like doing the best performance of their lives or anything like that. But yeah, I didn't mind it. And I do think because of Bright, I really blame Bright for this world of like what if magic but cars. It's not that groundbreaking, and kind of maybe what Pixar has, like what this movie is missing is that level of like, whoa, unbelievable that they've made a movie about this. But yeah, I liked it. It's my favorite movie of the year. Not really. I don't know. I didn't mind Invisible Man. I didn't mind
So
Harley
far,
Quinn.
no.
most Picture for most
animated picture?
animated movie. Yeah. I don't think it'll have that much competition
Instead of
from
the other Pixar movie.
Yeah, what about Soul?
from the. I don't know if that'll come out either.
That's true. That's.
But yeah, I enjoyed 2020's Pixar's Disney's Onward. We'll go through the plot. Not the plot, but we'll go through the general story parts without getting super specific. We'll do the actors, then we'll talk spoilers. Can we take a tiny break? I want to hit the restroom real quick.
Yep.
Is that
Absolutely.
okay? All right, cool. Yeah, let's everybody take a 2-minute break. I'll be right back.
I'm going to get some water, so all the water leaving my body now can be replaced.
Yeah, I was going to make that coffee even wetter.
Yeah.
Hey, hang in there, Michelle.
Fine.
Was that like too formal?
Was what too formal?
Have you heard from Eric?
Oh, yeah, he responded.
What did he say?
He said, yay for the laptop. Sorry to hear about your circumstances. You should work from home.
Huh.
My circumstances. That's your fault, DJ.
I know, right? That's such a interesting way to phrase it.
Circumstances?
I told him that my fiance was
Exposed to someone
exposed
who got it.
is the word.
No, I missed everything up until the word circumstances because I was getting water. So I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, I emailed my manager to tell him that I was going to self-quarantine, and I explained that that DJ had been exposed to someone who tested positive for it, and his response was, I'm glad you got your work laptop. Sorry about your circumstances. Please work from home.
Beautiful.
Yep.
I like to, like, it's weird, like, circumstances, like, it doesn't mean I have it, but I
Yeah.
know protocol and whatnot.
Right.
Was someone at Picatinny have it?
Correct.
I'm gonna grab water.
Yeah, so there was a confirmed case of Picatinny. Someone I know. I don't know who, because they wouldn't tell me.
Well, yeah, that'd be a profound ethical breach to tell you who.
Why?
Because that's private health information.
But shouldn't I know the person who, like, infected me or possibly infected me?
No, that'd be like saying you deserve to know everyone in your life who has AIDS.
Oh, well, feels a little different. Like, I should know the person I was in contact with who got coronavirus.
No, you should know that you are at risk, which you do, but they deserve their privacy also.
Yeah, you don't want people, like, going after them and being like, how dare you put my family at risk.
Incorrect. What we need is a Days of Future Past, or X-Men Apocalypse style forehead labeling system where everybody puts a big C, like a big tattoo of C over their left eye, like Bishop, so we know that they are bad, and then we quarantine them based off of their facial tattoos.
I like it.
Yeah, it'll be cool too. Like, you've seen Bishop and you're like, fuck, he looks awesome. I mean, not in the movie. The movie him looks stupid because they fucked that up big time. Because it's an X-Men movie. However, I think that's the way to do it. Anyway, yeah. Okay, we're ready to go?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk about the actors and performances, then we'll do CGI, and then we'll do the, not CGI, I guess, because all CGI, but like animation style, and then we'll do the, like, spoilers and the plot and stuff. All right, so 3, 2, all right, so let's talk about this. I want to hear about what we think the cast, so it's, like we said, limited cast, a lot of, like, cameos. I'm going to run through a couple cameos, not talk about the actual parts themselves, but just some actors. We had Ali Wong in here. Birds of Prey's own Ali Wong. We also had Gray Griffin, who does a ton of voice work. Catwoman a lot of the time.
You probably know her as Vicky in Fairly Odd Parents.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
yes.
Ah.
She goes to all the Comic-Cons. If you ever at one, she's cool. Go, say hi. So she's in there. You also had Tracy Ullman in a role. Obviously, John Ratzenberger is in there somewhere. Honestly, couldn't remember it. And then my favorite cameo as college friend, the guy who we're talking about in the fast food restaurant who's picking up his Egg McMuffin or whatever. Anybody want to take a wild guess at who played him? You'll never get it, but let's do the guesses anyway.
I can't
Zach
remember.
Galifianakis.
All right, I'll take it. DJ?
Seth Rogen.
Michelle?
I was looking at the cast list, so it's
Okay.
not there.
Wilmer Valderrama, guys.
Whoa, really?
Yo Mama's Own Wilder Valderrama. Oh, Valderrama, excuse me. All right.
And that is, of course, Fez from that 70s show.
Yeah, that's what people know him from, I guess. As a child of the mid 2000s and a person who watched a lot of MTV, Yo Mama, he had the cash money. He was the guy with the cash money,
Cash
and that's
money.
what we'll all remember him as. All right, cast and crew. Let's go through some
Talk
of these
about some of the
actors.
crew.
Yeah,
Who's
well,
the
with the
key
crew.
grip?
Yeah, I want to hear the best
Tell
boy.
me the best boy.
Yeah, you got to hear the best boy. I do not see one, honestly. A lot of animators, but where's the best boy? Let's see.
Well, when you don't actually have like a set where
Yeah,
people
you
are
might not
working,
have.
You don't need a best boy at all.
I'll tell you this. Who's the best boy? It's Tim Best. He's the technical lighting supervisor in visual effects. He is the best boy as
Quite
far as
literally
I'm
the best
concerned.
boy.
Yeah. Also, you know who might be the best boy? Tom Holland is Ian Lightfoot. Tom Holland plays the, mousy teen who doesn't quite fit in, even though I'm tired of him being the excuse me, sorry, I'm a nerd, even though he's the most handsome kid on
Right?
earth who can do a backflip and has abs. And can dance. He's got it all, this Tom Holland fella. And then
Listen,
we'll get into
it's-
the other nerd from this movie.
It's much more believable in the Spider-Man movies that he's a huge nerd that has trouble getting people to like him, because he has the handicap of talking with the most ridiculous forced accent of all time, and everyone who hears him must be like, why the fuck do you talk like that?
Yeah. I liked him in this. He did a good job at this character, which not breaking too much new ground. He was very much just a slightly less confident version of Peter Parker from the Avengers-y Spider-Man movies. But yeah, he played Ian Lightfoot, the youngest of the elves. What'd you guys think of him? DJ, we'll start with you.
Fine. Well, I think you captured it all. Not breaking any new ground. Yeah, he was a nerd. I thought it was fine. I honestly don't have much to say about his performance.
Michelle, Ian Lightfoot.
The character, he was I didn't find him as likable as I wanted to. I didn't feel super empathetic for him. I guess I didn't quite relate to the whole fact that he didn't have this confidence when talking to his classmates, especially since they all seemed super nice and friendly.
Yeah. They were cool.
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, I might do this party thing." And they were like, "Oh, a party? Cool." They weren't like, well, "Whatever, loser." Even when he had stuff written on his face, they didn't call him. I don't know. It was just, I didn't get it. I couldn't relate. He was fine. The character was fine.
Yes, for sure. I think that's I think he was definitely trying to hit some beats in terms of he is awkward teenager. And I think they, explained it as he's got issues because his father, as we'll, learn in the plot, died before he was born or right around when he was born. Obviously, not that far before because but he, and he
Did not know his father.
He
Yeah,
literally has
exactly.
no memories of his father. So
Right,
it
yeah.
had to have been pretty early if he was alive at all.
Exactly. And he's also kind of at one point, not the explanation, but the big kind of how nerdy is he has a seat in front of a guy with big feet, and that guy is putting his feet up on his seat, and he does not tell that guy not to sit near him. And also, I would say he has what I would imagine are normal 16-year-old issues where he doesn't want to merge onto the highway. But they don't. And his brother is kind of awkward. Not really, but the movie wants us to think he is.
His brother's embarrassing. Which
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
They convey adequately.
I mean, his brother's in an insane amount of debt considering all of his parking tickets.
Oh my god.
He's
so
going
many
to jail
parking tickets.
soon.
How's there not a warrant out for his arrest?
Yeah, but yeah, he's got issues that are based on his family stuff, but also he might as well just be your average nerd. I think he's fine. Diggins, anything different?
I would say I have a little more praise for Tom Holland than you guys have had so far. I think he is doing a pretty excellent job in conveying the emotion. Like, there's some pretty heavy-hitting scenes in this movie with the character where he has to convey a lot about very complicated feelings that he has and about things that he just in general he does a very good job of making him seem likable and sympathetic, and then also carrying the weight of those emotional scenes. So I think some of the writing around Ian is a little not bad, but pro forma.
Yeah.
Like he has literal checklists about character growth. And it's like, okay, movie, this is a little on the nose. But that's not Tom Holland's fault. Tom Holland is doing a great job. So I'm pro Holland in this movie, I mean, say.
Listen, if you're trying to check your movie under 90 minutes, it's probably a pretty good idea for one character to just pick up their character growth out of their pocket and explain it to you. I think he's fine. I do. I think that's fair. I would say Chris Pratt, who plays his older brother, Barley Lightfoot, who is kind of the Dungeons and Dragons, or what is it?
Quests of Yore.
Yeah, the Quests of Yore, obsessed.
He's kind of slacker, college-aged brother who's hanging around at home, not doing much of anything.
So, I was a little bit confused about that. Is he a screw-up? Like, is that what they're going for?
Well, we're told he's in a gap year. So that assumes he just graduated high school and is taking a year before going to college.
Which, is a pretty reasonable thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I would say the movie makes a big old judgment on Dungeons and Dragons that is not super realistic in 2020. Even, I would say even wasn't realistic in 2018, when I feel like they probably, hit the gas on making this movie. It's not necessarily cool the same way that esports have hit the mainstream big time, but I feel like this is a year from that. Role-playing games are pretty we know all the cool celebrities that already play them. A lot of people play them. I've watched them, never played them. Not that I'm a cool celebrity, but I'm as toe dip into them as you can be without being able to commit time. I know everybody here plays them, you guys, and so I think the movie levies a harsh judgment on a person that plays these games. But it's even weirder because in the movie it is historical fiction or something.
Yeah, all the stuff is based on stuff that appears to be real. There's a card in Quest of Yore called the Phoenix Gem, and the Phoenix Gem is a real thing. It would be like if something like D&D, there's a item called a Bag of Holding, which is it's the size of a satchel, but it can hold way more than that. It's like that cube Jimmy Neutron had.
Right, the hypercube.
Yeah.
You can make the argument that there are real things in D&D, like daggers and crossbows,
and
basilisks and minotaurs,
and the what's her name, the
Manticore?
not Griffin, the Manticore, who they literally hold up a playing card of and look at a slightly less Manticore-y but clearly still Manticore, Manticore dressed up as waitress or the business owner, not business owner, but
the manager.
She owns the place. It's her restaurant. Yeah, so it's a little silly. It would be like if I don't know too much about D&D. I'm pretty sure D&D doesn't have a role that's just police officer, but with hats.
Yeah,
but that's kind of what it would be.
D&D has stuff. There's wolves, right, and bats.
Yeah.
There's things that are real, but the more fantastical stuff in D&D is not real. But in Quest of Yore, everything is real.
Right.
Everything in Quest of Yore appears to be a real thing in some facet in their world.
I will say that the non-fantastical parts of D&D are very loosely, but still based on medieval and Renaissance history.
Yeah.
The towns, other than all the magic and monsters and stuff, are meant to be roughly how cities and towns would have been back then in real life.
Well, and there's bits of this movie, which we'll get to, where our heroes encounter a thing that would seem, and everyone believes to be, a fictional, like, made-up history thing, like, say, dragons. That's not the explanation, but, like, in real life, it seems like dragons are fake, but a lot of different, cultures, like, Chinese cultures have dragons, and European, like, Anglo-Saxon cultures have dragons. But in this movie, or in this universe, were you to open a very specific door or thing, which we'll get to, they would be right there. And no one seems curious about that. And that part of it is quite strange to me. Only because of how silly it's not like they're like, Barley Lightfoot, you play that game about those things that we all don't care about anymore. It's like, Barley Lightfoot, you play that fantasy game about things that don't exist. But forget about that for a second. Chris Pratt, what'd you think of him? I thought he hit a lot of right. Like, I don't think he was like, I think it was Diggins who was like, Tom Holland did a good job. I'm going to revise my statement. I think Tom Holland did a good job. I think Chris Pratt also did a very good job. He sold all of the emotional beats for me. He also did a good job of pretending to be Chris Pratt from 10 years ago. The nerdy one.
Yeah. I was going to say, on the scale from Andy from Parks and Rec to main character from Jurassic World of the Chris Pratt likability scale, it was far closer to the Andy side.
Yeah, I think in the in Red Letter Media they described the Jurassic World character as Duke Thunderguns. He's definitely as far from Duke Thunderguns as he can be, but he's doing a good job. DJ, Michelle, where are you guys at on Barley?
I'll let Michelle go first.
Wow, what a gentleman, DJ.
Definitely worth
announcing to the group.
Barley was my favorite character. I love the character himself. I just thought he was great. Supportive brother role, very encouraging, very lovable. Obviously loved his sense of style, and I feel like I would be friends with this character if I knew him. Like, I was like, well, this guy would be my friend. And I thought that the role was played very well. I felt it. I had that connection that I was missing with Tom Holland's character. I got with Barley, which again, not Tom Holland's fault, because I thought he played the character well. It was just the character itself that I didn't connect with. But Barley, favorite.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think Barley was a little less of a stereotype compared to Ian, where I think Barley got at some of like what we like about Chris Pratt in his like less cool guy characters, but he did a little bit of like something new that I feel like I haven't quite seen from him. DJ, always the gentleman. You went second. What did you think of Bartley Lightfoot?
Like Michelle, he was my favorite. I felt a lot of the stuff that Chris Pratt's character, and I'm not saying anything like, oh, Tom Holland was not good at this. I thought Ian's character, I actually felt was kind of one note. I understand that there were some complicated emotions that he conveyed, but I felt that it was all on the same plane of just kind of unconfident, unsure. He gets some of his frustration with his brother, who he feels is being more aloof. But I actually felt that Barley was a bit of a more complicated character, and that, some of what comes off as goofiness is passion for him. And, it's one of those things where, oh, he's like the town idiot, he's doing all this stuff. Oh, there's old Barley Lightfoot. And there's the whole screw-up thing, which we'll get to. But I just think it makes him a very likable character, but also a complex character, because I think one of the things that's lost is that Barley is dealing with a lot of the same stuff that Ian is with regards to the loss of their father, which we get into.
Right.
But Barley also has this added responsibility where he's being the older brother. And I thought that's probably one of the best things the movie does well, is kind of conveying that and bringing it full circle, and how Barley does that, and I thought was fantastic. And I think Chris Pratt lent a lot to that. So
yeah. I think that's fair. On the surface, I got that same idea, like Barley Lightfoot, nerd, confident nerd. Nobody Like, he doesn't play by anybody's rules but his own, but he embarrasses his older brother in the same way that, like, plenty of characters have in fiction. But as you get further into the movie, you dig a little bit deeper into him. And I don't, here's I'd say the big part of him. I don't think the emotional climax of the movie would have worked without a 100% performance from Chris Pratt as this character. Whereas I think other characters, they would have been fine. But, like, I feel like he brought it home for me. He was my, what's the word in baseball? The fourth pitcher.
Closer?
Well, no, that too, but fourth hitter.
Pinch hitter?
No.
Oh, fourth hitter? Your cleanup guy.
Yeah, he was my cleanup guy in this. He didn't have a huge role in the beginning. It was mostly Tom Holland and kind of the plot and the visuals and stuff. But as the story moved forward, I was like, oh, this is his movie. Mostly because he is taller. And the tallest character is the most important, as we all know.
Okay, Invader Zim.
Exactly. Yes, that's right. I loved him. All right. Other two characters, Julie Louis-Dreyfus and Octavia Spencer. They both had 8 lines. What you think of them? Diggins, we'll start with you.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus was fine. Your standard mom character.
Yep.
Worried about her boys are on crazy adventure and does cool thing to help them, but ultimately the story's not about her, and that's fine.
Yep. Octavia Spencer?
Octavia Spencer,
Ma?
very similar.
2019's Ma?
Yeah, Ma.
We could do that in the future. I bet that's a fun podcast.
Let's do Ma.
Yo, let's do Ma.
Let's do Ma.
We'll give
Oh,
everybody
boy.
a week to watch The Hunt, and then we'll do Ma.
I love that idea.
Like, we'll do Ma first, then we'll do Hunt. Yeah, I think it'd be great. Ma, is it called Ma or Ma's House? Or
I think it's Ma. It's just called Ma. M-A. Ma.
let's see what happens when I type that into IMDb.
Terrible SEO.
I'm pretty sure it's called Tazi Ma, the actor from Arrival. The guy who
that's
is
it.
the yeah. So we'll definitely do his filmography one at a time. We'll do the show called Treadstone. Remember that show where they were like, we're going to make a show about Jason Bourne. And then they made a couple episodes and they went, never mind. we'll pretend we didn't. He was in Veep. That's right. He's the, like, Chinese president in Veep, or Chinese whatever. I'm a big Veep fan. I love me some Veep. Diggins, you probably watch Veep.
I have.
Yeah,
but
so you remember him.
sure. As for Octavia Spencer's character in this movie, the Manticore.
The Manticore, as we
The
all know.
Manticore, kind of similar, fine. Is not really in much of the movie. Doesn't have that much to do. For one big scene is good. Yeah. It's really, this movie's really all about the boys. It's about Tom Holland and Chris Pratt, and everyone else is just kind of there.
It's all about the boys. It's the Barstool Sports of movies. It's a boys movie. Onward. Saturdays are for the movie. Saturdays are for the Onward. That's what the new T-shirt's gonna be. DJ, Michelle, Bap's house, all at once. What'd you think of the two supporting female characters?
I actually really enjoyed the mom.
Okay.
I found her. She was very cute, sort of like endearing. She's very supportive of both of her sons. Like she was encouraging Ian to drive and stuff and get out of his comfort
And have
zone
a party.
Sort of thing. Yeah,
She made him
like,
cupcakes and stuff
right.
or whatever. Yeah.
and she was so supportive of him, but also like she wasn't like discouraging to Barley, which I found great. Like, and the way that she interacted with him made me really happy. Like one of his miniatures was on the ground, and she was like something along the lines of "Get your warrior off my land, or we're gonna go to war."
Oh yeah, that
And
was
I
cute. I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
That line like stuck with me. I was like, "That's so cute and like fun," and I just liked her character. And at the end, she was very badass. But we can talk about that when we get into spoilers.
Sure. What do we? Manticore, Octavia Spencer, Manticore. We all have to call her Manticore.
Manticore.
And you really have to like lay on that Ma.
Like your Scar.
Like Ebony
That's how
Maw.
Scar would
yes,
say it.
exactly, but not the shitty new one, the old one that
The
was
old
cool.
one, yeah.
the one that did a song instead of spoken word poetry.
I really thought she was fine. Like,
Yeah.
the character, the acting, it was fine. Like, there was nothing that I was blown away by.
It wasn't paycheck. It was above that. Like, she put the work in, but
Right.
yeah, it's limited
It
amount
wasn't
of yeah.
Octavia Spencer as Dab Dab in Doolittle.
Oh
It was
my
better than
god,
that.
yes.
Oh,
Without a
dab,
doubt.
dab.
What is it with her? She just it wasn't even Octavia Spencer in Spider-Man 1 where she's like, "Hey little Spider-Man kid, you're going to get fucking killed." Do you remember that?
No? What?
Oh, Octavia Spencer is the person who is signing in amateur wrestlers in Spider-Man 1.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he shows up and he's like, "I am the Man Spider. I'm a wrestler named Man Spider." And she's like, "Kid, you're going to get killed." And he's like, no, I'm going to do it. And she's like, "All right, sign this waiver about how you're going to get killed." And he's like, "All right." And then she's like, well, "That's all. I'm the person that sits at the stand up table. I'm not in charge. You're allowed to wrestle. I'll let Bruce Campbell name you." But yeah, Octavia Spencer's been around for a while. I think Octavia Spencer's great. We're gonna find out how great she is next week during Ma. But I think, I don't think this was her greatest role ever. DJ, do you disagree?
No, I really echo everyone's opinions on Octavia Spencer. I will say the Mama Lightfoot. I agree with what Michelle said. That line where she's like, "Our kingdoms will go to war," just referring to his ship being in the in the house. I don't know, the line stuck with me. It was like, oh, it's like a cute thing to say. If we're going with the baseball analogy, I think that Mama Lightfoot was Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She was like a middle reliever.
Yes.
You need them in there. You got to get through like innings 4, 5, and 6. They're essential. If you don't have a good one, you're fucked. So I really like what she brought to the table.
I agree. I think it's fair to say that there's not a ton like she. Thinking about it, I actually think she did pretty well. Like, I liked her. And like, the problem is, and there's a movie that I love, which we've talked about in the past, that I don't want to throw out there now, just because I don't want to beat it to death. But I don't think she was quite like it reminded me so much of another character that I love, like more than life itself, that I was like, yeah, she's about there. She was not the. I'm trying to think who was the Yankees relief pitcher for a while that was like kind of the guy.
Mariano Rivera?
No, I mean he's the closer. I'm thinking like the relief pitcher.
Oh God! You want to go through Yankees?
David
middle
Weaver?
relievers?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I know. I looked it up now. Is it Mike Stanton? I can't remember. Ramiro Mendoza. There was a guy for a while who was the guy who I'm like, yeah, that's the guy who you call in halfway through the game.
Andy Pettit? Or no, he started. I really
started.
have no idea who you're talking about.
I'm going to look best relief pitcher 2002.
God.
I know it's going to be hard, but I'm going to learn this. I'm going to get this.
What's the overall point of your analogy?
The point is there's a baseball player that did that thing that wasn't Mariano but yeah.
Very cool.
I think she was good. Other Onward character, let's throw two in here. Let's talk about Mel Rodriguez, who played Colt Bronco. So he was, and as we've discussed, I would say Tom Holland, so he's 16. So he was probably about that young when his dad died. His mom, Julia Dreyfus, is dating Colt Bronco?
Yeah. Boyfriend.
Yeah, chief of police or high-level police officer.
He's just a cop, but yeah, like not like a beat cop.
He seems high enough that he can call stuff in.
Yeah, he's a vet,
and yeah, he's a what's the word? You nerds. What's his guy? What's his species? I forget.
Centaur.
Duh. Oh my god, yeah, centaur.
We all said it like in unison, pretty much. While Nando's like, "The fuck, guys."
Yeah.
This is.
So he's both a centaur and like the version of the police officer that arrests you during a movie where what's the movie where all the police officers are like messing around? what's that movie? Super Troopers. He's like he's like what a Super Troopers movie would think a real police officer. He's got a mustache. He's got the aviators on, and but he's a well-meaning guy. What'd you think of him? Because he's got a pretty solid role in this.
Fine. They kind of stereotyped him as like, his big line was, "Hey, you working hard or you hardly working?" Like he's from Wisconsin, I guess.
Yes.
He's a good goofy stepdad character.
Yeah,
he's
I
not
liked
actually
him.
their stepdad. They had to ruin it by making him a cop, though, so he's inherently unlikable.
Oh yeah, he's a monster.
It's true.
I did like him. I mean, obviously, he's one of those characters, and these characters keep popping up during the movie, who is like, the movie progresses a little bit, and that character's suspicious of the kids, and they're like, something's up. But he didn't do anything wrong, and I understood the dynamic between him and the kids. I do think we'll get into some things with him. A little weird, but otherwise fine. I think I think he was animated in an interesting way. He's the first character out of these four, or let's say Manticore obviously had some stuff to do. But Ian, Barley, and Laurel all just were people, but what if their ears were large and their the skin was blue? He was the
They're
first
elves.
one. Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. We've all seen. Yeah. He was the first one that had some sort of interesting something to him, and I think it worked.
Yeah, I didn't love his character though, and I think they don't want you to like his character in the beginning, or at least that's how it felt. Like he was against the older brother, so there was that conflict immediately, and then he was just kind of awkward towards Ian, so there's that weirdness, and then you get the vibe that okay, he's the stepdad, but I really wanted him to be more like you could feel that he cares for the kids, so you're sympathetic towards him, but that wasn't even there. So he was just someone there for me to not like. Right,
because you listen to a lot of NWA. I know one of so obviously your two sleeves are those things we talked about before, but you have a big old face tattoo about how much law enforcement is.
Oh
it's not okay. Yeah,
of course.
ICE.
Yeah, exactly.
Ice-T.
I think
Ice Cube.
The thing with him, and we are all somewhere between the ages of 31 and 29, right?
Yes.
So, I think as an adult, you kind of saw his character, and you were like, yeah, I get it. I understand what you're going through with these kids. You're not a bad guy. It's a complicated situation. I wonder if a 16-year-old would watch that movie and be like, oh, he's he's jerk trying to stop these kids from having fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, because you need that, they needed someone to be a roadblock for the characters on their adventure, because it's weird the way they laid out this movie, where it began as, oh, we'll search for the Manticore, but then the rest of the movie's stumbles.
Yeah.
You'd think of I don't know, a more well thought out movie, would there be a lot of characters like the Manticore who are challengers along the way, but it's just the cops.
Yeah.
So their only challenges until the very end of the movie is they're dealing with cops.
The cops,
kind of weird.
Well, to be fair, the cops and one polygon, a polygon comes and challenges them in a big way.
That's true.
And there's also there are non-sentient things that challenge them along the way. There are the things they face. There are also the pixies.
We'll get them. We'll get to
yeah,
them.
I mean, I'm not saying this positive. So there's plenty of other things besides the cops, I would say. I will say, I think it's strange to me that they combined, the stepdad / mom's boyfriend figure and this cop, which it makes sense in having him be a figure in their lives so the connection is more personal, and also for one specific scene, it ends up mattering a lot. But also, we never really justify that connection, like Michelle was saying. We never really get any sense of why the mom is with him, or that he is especially integrated into the family or cares about them.
Right.
And it just kind of feels weird. It's not bad, but it doesn't work 100%.
Well, Diggins, your NWA tattoo also kind of colors your opinion of the police force in general. I would say, could you say that I understand why you wanted to have that character be part of this story in a way that wasn't just like the cops want to stop them. Because I think there's two good reasons when you get further into the plot why he's someone they know but isn't a jerk. We'll get to it, but I don't know. I didn't mind him. The plot is very specific to spoilers and stuff, but I do want to get at one other thing. At one point, they're stopped by two police officers that aren't one of him, that aren't Colt Bronco. I guess they're also elves.
Including no, one's a Cyclops.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And
That's
one's
right.
a
That's right.
satyr. The other one's a satyr.
Yes.
Oh,
correct.
my gosh.
And one is the first openly LGBTQ character in Disney history.
So Star Wars character at the end of Rise of
Representation.
And
Rise
also,
of
two
Skywalker.
women held hands in Finding Dory, apparently. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
What'd
the
you-
first one who mentions having a partner of the same sex.
What'd you think
And
of that?
she's there for 5 seconds and she's a cop. So great.
So she's played by Lena Waithe, who people probably know from Master and None. She also shows up in the what was that one? Ready Player One, and also she wrote the movie Queen and Slim, which is on my list of movies to watch during the during the shut-in. The way I have heard this story explained is her character was not did not have a female partner, but the voice actress, Lena Waithe, was like, my character can be this, right? And the director was like, yeah, go for it. And she changed the line herself. So I don't think they deserve like an insane amount of credit, but I do think there was a certain level of like, it wasn't something that came from, according to that story, it wasn't something that came from like, we got to check a box as like, this seems like a reasonable place to, just a reasonable move to make with this character. So I do kind of respect it.
I mean, what sucks about it isn't that it is in the movie, which is a totally fine throwaway reference and like whatever. What sucks about it is they made a big announcement like, this guy's Onward's got the first openly LGBT character in Disney history, and like trumpeted it on Twitter and whatever, and that's like, all right, guys, stop patting yourselves on the fucking back for having one line about this in your movie. Like, yeah, you're reflecting reality in some small way. Amazing. Great job, everybody.
She did get to say it gets better, which is a nice line that the character had. DJ,
in reference to an entirely different...
Yeah, completely different
Yeah.
thing. DJ, I'll pose this question to you. Do you think that's why this movie made $10 million? I'm going to put this one right on you.
Yeah, listen, I obviously, no one's going to be like, oh, it shouldn't be there. Like, obviously it should be there. All I want to say is I want to have the conversation when it eventually happens. I don't know how long it'll take, but just give me the LGBT protagonist.
It's
That's
Eternals.
all.
Eternals,
Just-
apparently, the Hephaestus
Oh,
character who is... Yeah. The one played by Brian Tyree Henry from Atlanta, and Joker. Not like apparently Joker. I saw Joker, but he's the guy that is like, Joker, you can't have the file that tells you all the things that fuck up the movie. When you really get down to it, that guy, his character is... one of
desperately
the Eternals.
trying to save the movie.
Yeah, he's like, this movie doesn't make sense if you have a head disease or if you like have some sort of chronic health condition. But that character is apparently the first. I don't know what to call it, and it hasn't come out yet, and maybe it won't come out ever. But that character is supposed to be the first like straight up, kiss on screen. What are you gonna do, China character? So. It's going to take some time, and I don't want to, like, I'm with Diggins. It's good that they did it, and they let it be just a part of the movie. It's probably not the kind of thing to throw a parade over, but
Yeah.
take what you can get, I guess. I don't know.
It is why they only got $10 million, though.
Yeah, that's fair. It's weird, too, because I'm wondering about this. Is that something Pixar or DreamWorks has done?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
I can't think of any.
Believe so.
So, like, part of me is like, man, what are you doing, Pixar? Disney's the really, like, kind of they do what they want against the wishes of the entire country, but not the entire country, but like humanity. Why aren't you getting on the boat? Take this opportunity to be cool. But that is a part of the movie. It's not super important, but it is something worth mentioning. Okay, so animation style. What do you guys think? Michelle, you get the first shot at this.
I thought it was amazing. Every Pixar movie, the animation and CGI and everything just gets better and better. The water looks like water. Fire looks like fire. I don't know how...
The schnozberries taste like schnozberries?
Yeah.
Of course. No, it was just... It's just very good. Like, all the textures, like, I knew what they felt like just by how they looked. And it's just constantly improving. And Pixar is constantly outdoing themselves. I thought it was very good.
DJ Diggins, do you agree?
Yeah. I mean, they're killing it in that department. I want to say on the topic of animation, aesthetic, I really liked what they did, specifically with Barley and his whole, like, heavy metal vibe. And, like, the van's named Guinevere. It's like it's kind of this, like, not like metal chic, but it had like the unicorn, and like the inside was like a dirty van, and he had the vest and everything, and all the I don't know if you guys ever played the video game Brutal Legend.
Yeah. I'm aware of the game, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, very much a Brutal Legend vibe. I thought they nailed that, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a good point. Creative decisions over technical prowess might be more of a thing here, where it's like, we got to make this thing look different than just like some random, not like elf, because I do think the elves were kind of plain, but other, what does it look like to do D&D in this universe, and what does... And there's a thing later in the game that I think was pretty interesting. What about you, Diggins?
I agree with all of that for the most part, but I will say there's something to be said about the fact that they created this fantasy world that's supposed to be this mashup or blending of fantasy tropes and like the modern world. And a lot of like visually inventive things you can do with that. And then we spend most of the middle of the movie in a regular car.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started. Hold your tongue, Diggins. To accidentally opposite quote Lena Waithe, a character is Officer Spectre, it gets worse. It gets much worse when you get into the specifics of how this universe works, because it makes zero sense. And I think the more the movie gets into it, the less it wants to be about fantasy world, and the more it wants to be road trip. Not the movie Road Trip, but just a road trip movie. Yeah.
So I think there could have been in that sense, there could have been a little more visual inventiveness in this movie, and it doesn't fully live up to that initial premise, but it does look very nice, and it's not like there are no elements of like doing creative things with the world they've created. So I'm not saying it's like bad, but I think they could have done better.
Fair. Anything else before we get into the like the nitpicking stuff, spoilers and like specifics? All right. So let's talk about the spoilers and the actual the logistics of the universe. So if you haven't seen the movie, I don't know what's going on right now. But I feel like this might end up on Disney Plus. I think there's a good chance it's on Disney Plus. We'll kind of go through the parts first that you could see on Twitter, or not Twitter, excuse me. On Twitter, because the trailers go on Twitter, but in a trailer, which are just the logistics of this universe, because I think they're kind of silly. Then we'll get into the plot points more. So if you're like, oh, I don't want to get spoiled, that's fine, but don't worry about that immediately. We'll start here, guys. What you think of this universe? So there's an intro. Does anybody remember the intro? There's like a little
narration about like there used to be magic, and we see like generic fantasy world where wizards solve people's problems. But then there's a light bulb, and then wizards are gone.
Did you guys pick up on this, that the speech or narration at the beginning of the movie is the exact same thing their dad writes to them when they give the staff to the boys?
Yeah.
So
I
was that
right away
the dad narrating at the beginning of the movie?
I wonder.
Food for thought.
I don't remember. But if that was, don't bother doing it the first time.
Yeah, right?
That's, I get it, but you don't need to do that. There's a lot of movies that do narration. It's usually not completely necessary.
You know what's interesting? I almost would have enjoyed this movie more without the beginning exposition, because then during the movie you could have that whole Barley's like a wackadoo believing in all this nonsense and we don't know as the audience. But then as Ian learns magic and you're like, oh, there's something going on here, that could be a fun discovery once you have the whole thing with like the Phoenix Gem and whatnot. So I don't know if we needed the whole beginning.
Without a doubt.
But would it have been as fun to have watched the creatures learn how to access their original abilities, like flying and running fast? No? No one?
Yeah. No,
I don't know. I think that makes sense, but I also think you could have the characters be like I think Barley could be like, once upon a time there was magic and it wasn't even like this, and we've just kind of fallen off that, and now we use our technology, which is a whole nother, thing. But as that happens, the characters are like, no, Barley, that's stupid. And then as the movie kind of opens up, the more things he says are true, then the more it becomes just like that. That's how we get introduced to it, as opposed to right from the beginning. It's like, actually, Barley was right, and the things he said are correct. I don't know. What do you think, Diggins?
I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like that significantly changed things, just because it feels a little silly to me for everyone if everyone like really just forgot that magic existed, and like instead having it where people know magic exists, but like technology's just more convenient, so no one really bothers with it anymore. Right. I don't know. I feel like that just makes more sense to me in the world than like there used to be real actual wizards and everyone just forgot. So it didn't really take me out of the movie at all.
Do people still know magic exists? I think they do.
I mean, when they pull out like the spell book and the mom's like, oh, your dad left a spell for you to see him again. She's not like, this is insane. Why would anyone think this would work? She like actually believes it will work. It seems like they know magic exists. Like, you know what I mean?
Sometimes I think there's some things that they show up like that specifically late in the game in a tunnel. Something shows up and they're like, oh my god, that's real. And it's like, yeah, it's real. It would be real. You guys know this is a thing.
That specific thing is like kind of ridiculous though, and I understand like, yeah, manticores exist, but obviously that doesn't. I mean, come on.
I don't know, but also we'll get to it.
You know what's weird is that when the Barley goes, Dad was a wizard, the mom goes, no, he was an accountant, not, what are you talking about? Wizards aren't real. Like, she didn't dismiss the premise that wizards are a thing. She dismissed the premise that their dad was a wizard.
Right. She wasn't like, well, I mean, that was his, like it would be like, Dad was a train conductor, and it's like, no, he had some trains in the basement that he like played with from time to time, but that wasn't his job. I don't know.
Also, something to think about, they should have switched the names of Ian and Barley, because then someone could have said, you're a wizard, Barley.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Missed opportunity. Yeah, that one's free, Disney. Next time you need to.
Next time. I mean, listen, they might re-release this in 6-7 months, so might as well do that. Might as well change the names. That way you get the Snyder cut of this, where the names are that, or it's like, we gotta see it with the real names that the director intended. All right. So let's talk about the fantasy world, because this is a fantasy, guys. It's like Lord of the Rings or Bright of the Rings. Can everybody remember? Let's throw out DJ Diggins. Throw out some of the fantasy elements that are now a different thing.
So give an example. What do you mean, like now a different thing?
Like it's like unicorns or like pests
or raccoons.
Yeah. What else we got?
Pixies are bikers for some reason.
Well, I think more importantly that the pixies don't fly.
The Adventurers Tavern, where people get quests, is now a family chain restaurant.
Yeah, that's a good one. Dogs are dragons, or dragons are dogs, whatever. Yeah, dragons are dogs.
Yep. And they're also like school mascots.
Yep.
It also seems like elves are people, but so are like ogres and centaurs.
And all the monsters are people.
Yep. Like in real life. People are monsters. Stay away from them.
Monsters, people.
What else? God, there's a lot of things. There's a couple of bits where it's like it was like, because the opening narration, it's like, there was a time when people did magic, and it was what helped everybody. And there's a guy who is a wizard, and he casts like a firebolt spell, and he sets a fire for other guys. And then it's like, but then technology was easier, and people used planes and cell phones and stuff. So it's got a kind of Luddite, like, I don't know.
To be fair, for the Pixies, going from like flight to planes is such a leap.
Yeah, game
like,
changer.
But like, it also doesn't help you. Like, a plane doesn't help you
Like reach
get
a
to
high
like
shelf.
your job or reach a high shelf. Exactly. Like, you're for the supermarket, a plane's not going to help you get the cereal box on the top. It's not going to get you to your job unless you work somewhere far. So I feel like that one's a bit of a leap. Like, it's not like the Pixies stopped flying and took planes everywhere, right? That seems a bit much.
Yes, I agree. I think the biggest mistake this movie makes, and so have either of you guys, or any three of you guys, seen Bright?
No.
I've never actually watched it, no.
So I would say watch it, because it's an interesting way to think about this. It doesn't make any sense. But it makes a little bit more sense in terms of, I'm pretty sure, like, I think that movie does it poorly in its own logic, but I think the logic of this movie makes more sense. It's like, there was magic for a while, and then all at once, magic disappeared. And I think that's what this world needs. Some sort of like, well, it would be nice if there was magic, but the magic is gone. Or it was normal world, and then all these, centaurs and stuff showed up, and the magic is gone. Because a lot of the stuff, the way things work, don't really seem like it was built for the things. Like, it was built for this generation of stuff, right?
Can you give an example again?
Like, it's a slow evolution of, like, it's not just like 5 years ago there was magic, and then my dad, he died from something, and then now we all have technology. It's like, there used to be magic in caveman times, and then we figured out technology and we adapted that to the future, right? So it's not like all the motorcycles came out yesterday. However,
right.
the fairies, pixies, all use one motorcycle. Why don't they have pixie-sized motorcycles?
Yeah, like, why isn't the technology specific? Why does the officer who's a centaur ride in a cop car for a normal person? Like, oh my god.
I mean, you can see that he does have a specially designed car for centaur.
Does
like,
he?
Yeah.
He doesn't have like a seat.
Oh.
But he still sucks at getting into it. Like,
yeah,
it's
like,
barely
it's
made
a regular
for him.
door. It should be like a van sliding door.
Yeah, it should, and yeah, it's like, I mean, I think the Pixies are the best example. I think the idea that they all stopped using their wings is kind of silly, but whatever. Because like what DJ's saying, in the movie, it's like, whoa, they took their wings and then they stopped using them because they used planes, and it's like, well, but also, you'd still use them. Like, they're still convenient in some senses, especially because you guys are small. Like, it's not like the counter. It's not like, you know what it's not like? It's not like Zootopia, where there is a system of, like, transport for hamsters and, like, rabbits. It's like there's a system for rabbits, and the hamsters just have to kind of move and, like, all stack on top of each other so that they can pay for stuff at the counter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
This movie did a worse job than Zootopia.
Yeah, it built out the characters of a diverse world, but didn't think about the mechanisms which they work in. Like, sure, in the school, the bigger characters had bigger seats, but, like, that was it.
Yeah.
Also, to the whole, like, swapping out technology for spells thing, that also seemed kind of weird, because all the spells that Ian did, like, you couldn't do those with technology. Like, all those spells are really useful. And there's not like there's not like the bad guy from Incredibles that I can't think of. Syndrome. There's not a Syndrome style like laser pointer where you can just control shit, but he has a levitate spell. The fucking bridge, that was great. The lightning, the accelerator, like all those were amazing.
Yeah, it's not like sorry. The main conceit of the movie is that there is a spell that brings your dad back to life for a day. And they invent airplanes and cell phones, and they're like, whatever. We don't need that anymore. We got airplanes and cell phones. Like, I don't know, man. It's almost
funny?
like...
I was just gonna make an argument about, like, well, the bridge spell is good, but then they just created bridges. And that was easier than doing the spells. And that was the whole point of why they veered away from magic, because magic was harder to do. So, like, for the bridge spell, well, they just made bridges. And for, like, the lifting spell, I'm sure that's why they have, like, forklifts or other things like that. You could come up with something for most of those. Except
lightning, Michelle. Lightning blast.
I don't know. Well, the one I was going to argue with
a gun, obviously.
Yeah, duh. The one I was going to argue with was the bringing your dead person back to life for a day is more of the I don't know how you're going to do that with science. That's more of a clearly just magic thing.
It'd be sweet.
Well, if you just hop on over to the dark universe, a man named Victor von Frankenstein is working on just such a thing.
And so is Tom Cruise, the god of mummies or whatever. He can bring people back to life.
Yeah, I think I smell a crossover, guys.
See the thing. So two things. First of all, if this power existed, if this it's there's only so many Phoenix gems, but no one seems to care if they exist or not. But if it did, it'd be like, yeah, we killed Tupac? Cool. Let's bring Tupac back to life and figure out how that all went down. Like, unsolved mysteries, we got them. But it would be almost like the version of this world that would exist in our world. And listen, I have no opinion on this whatsoever, but it would be like there was Jesus. And he could bring people back from the dead. And we all got technology and Jesus showed up. Like, he stopped existing. And we all stopped believing in him because we had so much technology.
To be fair, I mean, that is kind of what's happening.
I know. But that's that's the world that this movie takes place in. It's not a normal fantasy world where we invented technology and we integrated with it. It's a normal fantasy world where we got technology and we gave up on all the fantasy stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. It's all or nothing proposition. No middle ground.
Like, can you imagine a version of this movie where we get, like, where in the beginning of the movie, no one's fantasy creatures, and then as the movie progresses, the elves start becoming fantasy creatures? You know what I mean? Like, they start uncovering a hidden world of magic.
Yeah.
I mean, I still don't know what the point of this movie is besides the family stuff, but like what point it's trying to make with the magic, but maybe it's not a real thing kind of idea. But yeah, it's not built for the world it exists in, which is strange. Yeah. I don't know. Anybody else have any thoughts about the general fantasy world?
I'm good.
Is it weird that they have Dungeons and Dragons, but it's history?
There's historical role-playing games now.
Yeah.
People like to do Ren fairs and stuff. I mean, it's the same idea, right?
It makes it easier. You don't have to make shit up. You just go like, oh.
Yeah.
It is nuts that all the spells in his game are real spells that can be done.
That part is crazy. Because it's just like at some point there was magic and then there wasn't. And then they were like, well, I guess we're going to give up on spells. And then the Gary Gygax, that's his name, of this universe was like, I want to write the spells down. And I guess I'll make a game out of them.
Yeah, it's that part is kind of weird. It's like if to do spells in D&D in our world, you had to learn like actual geometry and trigonometry to target them effectively. Like you had to give the exact calculation of how you fired them or whatever, because that's the level of like your game mechanic in this game system is also actually 100% one for one the real way you learn this.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange.
It is very strange. It's weird. And the brother that does this all is treated like a complete weirdo. And not like somebody who like believes in the silly, antiquated world of 100 years ago. He's like some guy that plays a game that is just complete fantasy. So that's weird. It's a good movie.
Wow.
I don't know what else is left. Okay. So that's the beginning. So,
folks, this is our weirdest podcast yet.
It's so
terms
weird.
of the energy we're all bringing.
Well, can I say, it's a weird movie to talk about because, so like, it's your question, Nando, like, what's the point of them being like, oh, trade out magic for technology? Is it for us to be like, oh, as people in our society, we shouldn't forget our primal roots and, remember that we used to live off the land and try and do more of that? Like, is that what the movie's trying to say? Mixed with that, there's too many messages. Mixed with that, there's the whole, hey, what does it mean to try? It's such a weird premise, like, because you would never get the opportunity to be able to speak with one of your relatives or someone close to you, like a parent who passed away. But like, what would you give for that opportunity? And if you couldn't fulfill that opportunity, like, what would you sacrifice? I think Ian learns a lot of that. What's actually valuable to you, but it's all kind of mushed together in this weird, like, / road trip / fantasy world building. Like, there's a lot of movies in here packed into one, and I think you get kind of thrown around from, scene to scene as you go through, because there's, like, a lot of tropey stuff. That happens, too, with a lot of the road trip stuff. So I think just the movie jostles you around a bit to get you from A to B while trying to convey a couple of different messages.
Yeah, I agree. I think this movie is missing I think this movie is missing the cohesion of a good Pixar movie where it seems like it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of what the movie is about, but then it's like, this is what the metaphor is, and this is why we're doing it, and this is, like, the message we're trying to teach, versus, like, I don't know, magic is the way to do this. Feels kind of unnecessary.
Well, because, like, all of the Pixar movies have, like, very simple one-liners on what they're about. So, WALL-E is about, saving the environment. Toy Story's like, doing everything for your friends, and it's so important to have friends and you would do anything for them. Finding Nemo's, the lesson of giving your son independence, but also, like, understanding for a kid that, like, what it means to, love your father and
right.
Those ties and stuff like that. Like, they all have very simple. Up is about that sense of adventure and not losing that sense of adventure and being a kid forever, and, like, they all have these little things, but Onward's like, I don't know what the summation of it all ends up in. Like, it's a sweet movie and it's good, and it's gut wrenching at points. And I think Michelle and Diggins, you both talked about having different connection points to the movie. I don't have either of those connection points, but I still found the movie to be powerful. But I don't know what, like, the point of the movie is.
Yeah, I would say the log line for the movie that we saw in this, on the IMDb, is just two brothers go out to prove magic is real, is a different movie than this, and is more of a Pixar movie. Is like, get away from your technology, or like go outside, like almost like a Ready Player One kind of message. And I don't think this movie feels quite. I don't know. I don't think this movie feels quite like on board there with that like message.
Diggins, Michelle?
I feel like...
Can I add anything to this portion?
Yeah.
I think... No, you go, Michelle.
Oh, all right. So if you're going to put it at such a high level, like you were saying that, like, Toy Story is about, like, growing up, and those examples that you gave... I feel like if you were going to surmise this movie in that sort of way, I feel like the message would be like, figuring out what's important to you in life, or deeming that, or like saying something along the lines of, things that you might think are the most important in life to you might not necessarily be those things. Like, it might be something else, or like to look at life a little bit differently. Like, I wouldn't say that there is no clear message, or like that this movie isn't conveying any sort of message like that. I guess it's just a little hard to put into words. So maybe it's not a clear message, but
I think the message is there. I think the metaphor is kind of muddled, where it's like...
I think what the movie's problem is all the parts of it are not working in conjunction with each other, where the
Yes.
setting and the things that are working there don't really end up working with the message of the movie itself. They're just kind of two different aspects that don't reinforce each other, which I think is part of what, for me, makes it feel like it's good, but it's not special. It's not like the whole movie is like coming together to be this like one incredible like thing. It's more like we have a premise for a movie that's kind of fun and cool, and then within that movie, within that premise, we're telling this story that with this message, and those things are just separate. And like that's fine, but it doesn't make it feel like the whole movie is building to that point in the way that other Pixar movies do.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the arc of our characters, right? So Ian, he starts off, he's like not a confident kid, but it's his 16th birthday. He's an adult. He runs into his dad's old college friend at the restaurant, which I still think is a weird scene. And he's like, "Oh, your dad was so confident. He could go into a room and everyone knew he was there." So Ian's like, "All right, I'm going to project confidence." So he goes on this journey, and at the end of the movie, like two things. One, he has a better appreciation for his brother, and two, he gets that confidence that he wanted, and, you know, I guess 3 or like 1A maybe is that he kind of realigned his priorities. So he kind of gets that full arc. So like he has a journey. Barley, like, more or less is the same person, because he gets the whole like, oh, I was right the whole time deal, but he gets like the closure he never had. So like he doesn't have as much of an arc as he gets to do a thing that he got to do, but like he guided his brother, because Barley's like, if Ian's Frodo, Barley's Gandalf, right? He's guiding him, but it's not like the wise wizard. It's like kind of a oafy guy who goes through, but like that's what he's doing, right? Like the end of the movie proves out that, you know, for the hero's journey, if Ian is our hero, Barley's like the sage who helps him through his trials.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely where it's going.
So like he has an arc, and he completes that and he gets there. But I guess, Diggins, like your point, there isn't like a lot of cohesion with what happens in the middle with how he gets there, and that's why it gets kind of messy.
Like, it's just, it doesn't need to be a movie about what if magic was forgotten. It could just be a movie about, like, it could just be a fantasy movie where people just don't do this specific spell anymore. You know, like, because it's like the brightness of it, and that's the word I think is the most apt, which is like, what if magic but today? Thatness of it kind of never factors into the movie outside of the fact that people don't believe in magic. Like, because like in Bright, I can't imagine, I never thought I would like be using Bright as a more successful version of this premise. But in Bright, they all acknowledge what magic is. The thing that makes the plot device that like pushes Bright forward is just hard to find, which is like, what if a magic wand existed and no one knew what they, like, no one used them? Which is kind of what this is, which is like, you could say like, oh, your dad left you a gift, and what is it? Oh my god, it's a phoenix gem. No one's seen one of those in forever, and they tried to do magic, it doesn't work, and then it's like, well, your dad also left a map to another phoenix gem or something. So I don't know. I think that is my biggest problem with it. Not problem, but like my biggest, like the thing that I think it does feel a little muddled in terms of what the metaphor is doing compared to other Pixar movies. Because there's a big chunk of the movie where if they weren't blue and they could just do magic, it would kind of feel just like a normal movie. So yeah. I think it should be stricken from the record. There should just be Ma and The Hunt, and those should be the only movies that we watch. Although apparently the mysterious Emancipation of Harley Quinn is coming out on VOD pretty soon, so we'll have 3 movies. Yeah.
So all right, I want to pose a question.
Yes.
What for the 3 of you? Like I'll go first. What do you think the best thing this movie does well is? Or what's like a thing this movie does really well that you enjoyed? For me, I think that the dynamic between Barley and Ian and that like kind of realization moment for Ian was like so powerful when they get up to the sewer, when they the manhole cover, they get through that and they're like, oh, this is adventure, ha ha ha. They go to the manhole cover and it's like, psych suckers. But then Barley figures out what the deal is. I feel like that whole coming together where like I didn't exactly know where they were going to take it. Whereas like, oh, is Barley going to actually be wrong or yada, yada, yada. I thought that kind of 5-minute sequence, like leading up to we're running out of time to see Dad, not sure what to do. I liked that part of it. I really enjoyed that kind of sequencing of stuff for the movies. So that was mine.
Yeah, I don't know what part I like the most. It's hard. I think that I really do think I like the very end, where the Manticore ate all the characters.
Yeah, really surprising twist ending.
It's weird that you have to
Nailed
stay
it.
that long for a Pixar movie. They don't usually do that, but the Manticore ate them because they were bad. I think the ending was my favorite part of the movie just because there was no other part of the movie that really surprised me or like felt like I guess that is what you do instead of the normal thing. But yeah, that's my... That was my big kind of like, not like surprising thing. I think I was like, oh yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, I don't know. What about you guys?
I mean, yeah, honestly, like the movie does really stick the landing in a way that feels very genuine and heartfelt, but still kind of surprises you. So I hate to be a broken record, but yeah, that those last few, like the last, I don't know, was it 10, 15 minutes when it gets to that climax and then rides it out to the end, I think is... probably the best part of the movie.
Michelle?
So I liked the ending. It was amazing. In particular, and I have to admit I sobbed through most of this, through most of like the ending, but the action of oh god, what's the younger brother's name?
Ian.
I wanted to say Leon, and I'm like, that's not right. Ian.
Leon!
Watching a lot of Curb.
I don't
Curb Your
even.
Enthusiasm. Leon
Anyway.
the hero.
The action of him, the sacrifice that he gives up in the end of the movie, I was surprised by it. Like I was not expecting that to happen. And this like overwhelming feeling of like empathy for this or sympathy for this character, and like just this, was flooded with emotions from this sacrifice that this character had, and it surprised me, and I just wasn't ready for it, and that was a huge like sticking point for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, I think that's more or less what most of us are getting at, except for DJ, who's wrong.
I have no soul.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of like, I think that's the part that worked the best for a lot of us. And I was surprised by that because I was honestly like, where's this going? Like, or it was like, there was a part of me that was like, can they do this? Like, is this not like ethical, but is it like bringing him back? That kind of feels like a weird way to, just like a way to be like, oh yeah, that's how you do it. Anybody who's had, that happen to them, just get a Phoenix gem. But the way that they kind of like made it a little thing that was a small, I mean, we're kind of spoiling it for people, but like I don't know, DJ, Michelle, could either of you guys describe the very end of it, just because that's where more or less the interesting part is?
I'll throw it to Michelle.
The non-spoilery or spoilery?
No, spoilery.
Full spoiler.
Oh, okay. So there's a dragon attacking, there's a dragon that came to life after they found the Phoenix Stone, because it was a curse.
It was cursed. Who would have thought?
I know.
Oh
Who
my
would have
god!
thought?
I mean,
That's
who would have
ancient
thought? I
knowledge.
wouldn't have thought. When that comes up, I'm like, I guess. If
You
it seems like if
clearly
anybody
don't
would,
play D&D.
well, it's neither does Barley. Apparently, he doesn't even consider this.
That's true.
And I was like, I guess I don't know. If you don't know it, I don't expect anybody to.
So there's this dragon that was created by absorbing the school. And I do have to admit, I thought that it was fun that they used the dragon face from the painting on the wall of the school.
Yeah, that was cute.
But so it's dragging him to life, and it's trying to get the stone back, and the stone is what's needed to complete the second half of their dad to be created, and the sun is almost setting. So the mom, the Manticore, and originally Barley were fighting the dragons so that Ian could get just like a minute with the dad, and as they're fighting, Barley isn't really able to do much because he's not the one with the magical powers, and Ian came to the realization that he didn't need to meet the father because he never had a father, but he had a brother, and he wanted to sacrifice his time with the father so that Barley could have the time with the father instead. So
specifically the time to say goodbye, because it's revealed that he was too scared to say goodbye when their dad was dying.
Right. Yeah. And
so the sacrifice that Ian made was using his time to fight the dragons so that Barley could have that time with the father.
So yeah, that's like, I were you guys surprised by that they went in that direction?
Yes.
Me too.
I was very surprised.
Yeah, very.
It felt very mature to me.
Yeah, I think it was a good, talking earlier about Ian's arc, I think it's a good completion of that. And like when he's filling out the checklist and it's all the Barley stuff, I'm like, oh, motherfucker, good job, movie. That was actually the part of the movie, I don't know why, but that really got me. Because I thought it was such a good direction to take it in.
I agree. I think that, I think that having Barley do the dad thing and then having Ian fight the dragon with his new, abilities it was just an interesting, it was just an interesting, like, way to finish that out. But it did feel like the, reasonable, end to both of their arcs. Diggins, you disagree. You think they both should have fought the dragon and thrown the Phoenix Stone into the river. Explain that.
Yep, that's what I believe.
It's crazy that you think that. Diggins is mostly mad about how they ruined the school because Diggins loves school architecture.
It was such a beautiful building. And, Barley was supposed to be all about historical preservation, but then when it comes to this modernist masterpiece that was their school, he suddenly doesn't care if it gets torn down just for the sake of some curse. So I think it's really hypocritical of Barley and really destroys his character arc.
Yeah, he's the villain of the movie if you really get down to it. I hope they solve that problem, Hope he gets his justice. Because that was an interesting way to go about that. Let's see. What else?
I have a question about Phoenix Gems.
Yes.
All right. So their father gives them a Phoenix Gem to use the visitation spell so they could be with him for a day. He could be with them for a day. Doesn't work. Only gets half. And I assume it's because Ian isn't like full-blown wizard yet. So.
I guess. I don't know how wizards work in this universe.
I don't know either.
It's like Jedi. You have to physically be one. Like, you have to have been one your
whole
life.
Exactly. Got to get that broom. So, yeah. But that Phoenix Gem has no curse attached to it.
If it did, their dad already took care of it.
I guess that's how you'd explain it, yeah.
And the second Phoenix Gem has a curse. Do we know where Phoenix Gems come from? Can we make more and just start, churning out visitation spells? Because I think... do you need to do something before you die to prep the visitation spell? Can I visitation spell anybody? Because if we could start making Phoenix Gems, we could solve a lot of cold cases.
Exactly.
There's so much we could do.
I'm going to go ahead and guess that
Figure
they're
out
not
who
man-made.
killed Tupac.
I guess.
Well, pressure comes down on Phoenix ashes over millions of years, and eventually, compresses it into a gem shape, and that's how Phoenix gems are made. So, we don't really have a good artificial Phoenix gem process yet. It's not like diamonds, where an artificial diamond is pretty much just as good. Our Phoenix gems are full of flaws. They also don't have the magical resurrection fire in them, so that severely limits their usefulness.
We should
but
probably
scientists
start
are
figuring
working
it
on
out. Yeah, that's priority one.
Well, furthermore, why not? And just, I'm not trying to be a armchair quarterback, Monday morning quarterback, whatever. But why didn't they let the dad's feet go away and then try again
Oh, yeah.
with
Maybe
the new
you can-
Phoenix gem?
Maybe you can only use the spell once per person.
I think
They
that's
don't
the best
know. They
example.
don't know any of the rules.
Well, but then that's why you're like, might as well nail this down just in case. You know, I don't want to take any chances. Maybe we can't do this again. But also, like, yeah, I think they have. I mean, it's just like, what's the movie? Star Trek Into Darkness, where at the end of the movie they've cured death.
It turns out the government did 9/11.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, he learned a valuable lesson about the government. But it is like, well, I guess we figured it out. We have, and it's like at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, because he did destroy the school. They're like, "Oh, and you used the power of the Phoenix gem to fix the school." And he's like, "Yep." And it's almost like, and then you used it to bring back all of our relatives for a day. And he's like, it wasn't really top priority. We need the school.
And to get this school back up.
Yeah.
I will say, everyone about the whole dad coming back for a day thing, no one expresses any curiosity about what happens when you die. Like, no one's like, I'm going to ask Dad what happens when he's dead. Like, is there a heaven, or do you just stop existing? Like,
I mean,
there's no questions about that from anyone.
Clearly, you don't completely stop existing, at least, because you can remember your life before, and it's got all the things that a movie about some sort of, like, afterlife shouldn't have, but that should be, like, a big kind of game changer in the life of the characters.
In the universe, really. The whole world would be rocked to the core by the revelation that life exists after death.
And that you can rebuild a broken school. Those two things equally important as far as the Barley and Ian are concerned. It is not a little strange, but it's a little weird that they don't include the mom on the journey, right?
Yeah. Bring her along.
Well,
Bring the widow
She
along.
kind of knows the dad, right? Pretty well.
They had to rush out. They were like, we have to find the Manticore because we only have so much time left, and the mom wasn't home.
They have cell phones.
Also, later when
His
time is
phone was broke.
when like time is running out, they're like, "Oh man, we're not going to have time to bring him back for mom." Like their plan was go get the gem real quick and then have dad and like mom will get to see him later.
Right, that's fair. How'd you guys feel about this, like, we're not using the real path, we're using the new magical path? Did that feel a little like, hey dude, maybe this isn't exactly like your game, maybe we should just drive there if we can?
No, you see, they got me. They got me the way that they were trying to. Because Barley's like, we need to take the path less traveled because it's never the easiest way. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, of course. And you know that because you play games. But then at the end, when the path led them up the sewer, and Ian's like, we should have taken the highway. I was like, oh, man, they should have taken the highway. And then they got me. They got me. Like, I was got.
Yep, you got.
I did.
You got caught.
I got.
I came to a similar conclusion. Almost like it was like, well, the highway isn't super far. So you guys take the highway, see how it goes, and then work backwards from there, I guess? Because the way they did it was just this. I mean, they found the Raven thing. Like, if in the end they found a secret new place that they couldn't have found before, it would have been like a game changer, but they just ended up at home. Which I guess wouldn't have ended them up in the right place because the map said Raven's Point, right? Where were they trying to go?
They were going straight to the mountain, but it turns out the mountain wasn't where they wanted to go. They wanted to go to the statue on the way to the mountain that pointed to the sewers, which they also needed the little like stone medallion that they found before they got in the sewers, or else they wouldn't have been able to get the gem.
Right.
So all the steps they took were important.
That's true.
And also, if they'd gone straight to the mountain, they wouldn't have found any of that.
Right, that's fair. Yeah. What'd you guys think of the Raven stuff and all the path they took? Is that normal D&D stuff? Because I don't know that super well.
It could be.
I mean, like, what do you mean? Like
I guess, like,
normal.
so-
if you're getting.
At many times in the movie, they took what seemed to be an unusual turn. Like, they went in one direction that you wouldn't expect. And I'm wondering, how lined up was that with D&D, like, philosophy and how that usually works versus just the characters making strange decisions?
I mean, I'm gonna pass this off like real quick, but in my opinion, it's hard to say because D&D is like such an open-ended thing, and it could be a lot of things. But like traditionally, it's like, yeah, maybe you put some strategic thinking, and maybe you would want to take this other path. But I don't know if they were like trying to go to a specific analogy. Anyway,
Others?
nope, no one.
All right.
It's all nothing. We got nothing.
I mean,
Whoa.
I've never DM'd, but like having been on multiple like adventures, it's not like puzzles are not uncommon. So yeah, I didn't see it and go, that's not something that would happen in this type of scenario.
Right. It's a little more like basic and
Right.
stripped down than it would be if you were like actually playing a D&D campaign, but the basic framework is fine. Yeah.
So then, okay, not like, then here's my question. Here's my big question about the whole story. So, like my big specific. So in the end, it turns out that the way they were being led to the, the way they were being led to the end of the movie, or like the Phoenix Gem, the secret Phoenix Gem, is through what ended up being the sewer system, right? There was a
Yes.
manhole cover on it.
Correct.
What did everyone else think was down there?
Wait. Well, the sewers, right? Like, what
Like
do you
a
like?
river?
Right?
Like it wasn't a magical. It wasn't a magical sewer, or it was. Like it wasn't a man-made sewer. It was. It was.
Oh, that's true. It was like a cave and shit.
Yeah. Is that how their plumbing works? Magical sewers? The real pipes go down to the magic world, and then if that's the case, are they in a river of poop? On their Cheeto?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also,
Michelle, do you know?
can Ian solve the problem of world hunger now? Seems like
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess he
Absolutely.
could, yeah, as long as he's concentrating.
We don't know that there's a problem with world hunger.
That's true. There's no homeless or anything like that. Elves
Well,
are-
no, there is that one point where that young satyr looks up at both of them with a skeletal frame and tired eyes and says, "Please, I'm so hungry.
Oh.
Please, can you spare anything?" And they cruelly turn away without a word.
They kick. They
I thought
kick
that was
even a-
kind of weird to include
Not
that
even a
scene,
Cheeto. A
Yeah,
single
not even
Cheeto.
a Cheeto. A bite of a Cheeto boat. If we're an option, because they don't like. It doesn't seem to be part of their even like. They're like, oh, we could use this Cheeto as a boat. Not even like, you know what? Like, okay, let's kind of figure out what the applications of magic are as far as we've seen. So, is making small things big the big one? Besides the afterlife thing, which seems kind of limited because of Phoenix Gem. But let's say un-Phoenix Gem specific powers. Is that the big one?
Like in terms of what?
Things that will change the world in the future, or should change the world.
Of the ones he learns, yeah, that's the huge one, I would say. I guess it really depends on whether that's permanent or not. Because, like, what if everyone eats a bunch of the big Cheeto, and then it, like, shrinks in their stomach later when the spell wears off, and they don't actually get all that nutrition? It's just as if they ate a tiny bit of it. A tiny bit of a regular-sized Cheeto? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good question. That would be the fair way to do it, magically, to not break the universe. But the movie doesn't give us any reason to think that's not how it works.
Does the energy that the caster puts in, does like some of his sustenance get taken away to put it into the
Right.
new...
Is there what I believe in alchemy? Is there an equivalent exchange of
There
like,
you
magic?
go.
Yeah.
Someone watches Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, someone
I'm proud
watched
of
our
you,
video
Nando.
where we talked about Full Metal Alchemist the other day.
Yeah.
It came up in my
Oh my
in
God.
my recs. Because there's that one. There's the one that's levitation, which is pretty useful, but it doesn't beat planes or just having wings. What are the other ones? There's electricity. That's pretty good, but it's not that
There's
much
shooting
electricity.
lightning.
Yeah, but hypothetically, you could shoot it at a lightning rod and then power
There
stuff.
is, like... Did you ever watch Avatar: The Last Airbender or Korra?
Yes, sir.
Only the movie.
No, boy.
I'm kidding. I haven't seen the movie. I haven't seen either of them.
Well, there's what some people can what's called lightning bend, which is if you can make fire, you can also make lightning sometimes.
Makes
if
sense.
you're really good. And so in the sequel series, Korra, where everything is kind of like, instead of being like early 18th century where there's not much technology, things have now progressed where it's like early 20th century, where there is like a technology emerging, people are inventing cars and stuff, and we see there's a job for people who can lightning bend, which is they go to a power plant and they just shoot lightning into it constantly for 8 hours, and that's how they get like power.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So maybe a bunch of wizards could do that.
Also, if we want to really harness the power of something, it doesn't seem like the curse would ever run out, right? Like, it doesn't seem like you could tire the curse dragon out. Because when you when you take the Phoenix gem out, it creates a big old dragon made out of rocks and whatever. But that has both wings and feet. So it seems like if you're able to trap that on like a hamster wheel, it wouldn't die. Probably.
Perpetual energy.
Yeah, just keep it running. Might as well try. What were the other spells Ian learns?
All right, so I'm going to try in order.
Yep.
So it's, or at least his attempt to be taught by the brother. Levitate, enlarge.
Wait. When's levitate?
It's one of the first ones.
When
they're getting out of
the Manticore bar.
Yeah, it stops the beam from falling on the brother.
Right. Yes. Sorry, continue.
So that, then enlarge.
Yep.
Then, is it already Bridge of Trust?
No, because I think before we get to the Bridge of Trust, we have to impersonate the centaur.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
you are right. So it's
that one.
Doesn't use that one in the dragon fight.
Nope.
I don't know how he would.
Try and look
It's
like
me, the police. Stop it, dragon.
And the dragon's like, "Oh, hello, officer. Yes, as his curse, I respect the law."
Don't want to be awkward. Yeah.
So yeah, the impersonation, then the bridge, then fail to tempt lightning, then velocity spell.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Like, that also feels like it might be another game changer. Just get a car or like a magnet bridge up to velocity. That's the hard part. You just can't keep it there.
Fireworks.
Yes.
Yeah, that one might be the least useful. Although I'm sure there's some use for it, but it ruins dragons.
And then he uses all that in the dragon fight combined with successful lightning blast. And I think that's all of them. And obviously visitation spell and put school back together spell.
Yeah. I imagine the put school back together spell is the levitation spell, but it seems like a lot of work, if that's what it is.
That and a lot of flex glue.
Yeah, exactly.
Use a lot of flex glue.
What about all those cars that got crunched up into dragon?
Flex tape. You flex tape them together.
What about all those boats with the bottom of the boats was the screen door?
Oh, that's flex shot, Nando. That's obviously your flex shot.
Right, good that that's figured out. Yeah, then
Have you seen the submarine?
No.
There's a flex submarine. I swear to God.
I hear it's bullshit.
We'll
Knock on
cover
wood,
it later.
or like
Probably.
Allegedly. Yeah, so I think then the embiggening spell is the big one. That's the game changer. Although velocity, to be fair, both of those are something from nothing, like energy from, I guess all of them are, but that one is a big one in terms of breaking the laws of physics, like the fundamental Newtonian laws of physics. Diggins, you're a physicist. Which one is the bigger weird one?
The biggest, like, breaking the laws of physics?
Yeah.
Probably the enlarge one, just because you're creating so much mass out of nothing.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. I mean, I guess, okay, so they use they use the Cheeto, they make it big, and then they keep it there for a couple hours at least. Like, a lot of time passes while they're Cheeto surfing. So, how long does it take to digest a Cheeto? All you have to do is digest it, and then you've got the energy from it in your body. So, water, hypothetically, you could, like double or triple water size. Have people drink water, it passes through their system in not too long, and then they've already absorbed the minerals and like the nutrition from the water.
This is brilliant.
I mean, listen, the new movie shouldn't be Onward. It should be like the destroyed economy of Magicville. And it should be Ian the Magical King who controls all of society now. Or Ian the government experiment who is strapped to a table just creating bigger Cheetos. One or the other.
By the way, it's cool that the title of the movie is said in the movie. Like, put it in O for Onward.
Big
when they're
time.
in the car. I was thinking, and I realized that this is coming out before Invisible Man Pod, but I wish that someone had said name or title Invisible Man in the Invisible Man movie.
Yeah.
Was he some kind of invisible man?
Yes!
Or like
I love when movie titles are squeezed into the movies themselves.
Or like, John isn't invisible. Man, I need to eat a sandwich. Like 2 different sentences patched together.
Imagine that here. Ian, turn that light on. Ward, we must go on an adventure. Now, you're my ward, Ian.
Yeah. There's a lot of good ones there. Hey, I hope there are some birds of prey and fantabulous emancipations of one Harley Quinn, maybe Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey or whatever we're calling this now. VOD one of these days. Yeah, pretty good. It's a great movie. What else we got?
I don't know.
I feel like we went through most of the movie. There's the Manticore. Okay, so the Manticore has some sort of like longing for days past.
Convinced by Ian.
The Manticore. That's right. Longing for days past of giving kids alcohol in her basement. But yeah, she has like a history of this, but also it seems like that would be long gone. Like, how long has passed between the days of magic and the days of today?
Yeah, how long does this Manticore live?
Yeah.
Is she like hundreds of years old?
I mean, that tracks for a Manticore.
It kind of has to be. I mean, she's alive for the invention of no planes to planes, which I would say is one of the major technological advantages of the time. I guess you've also got, like, phones, but still, like, planes to not planes. And
According to
phone watches, like Apple Watches. Maybe that's the big technology in the movie.
According to encyclopediafantasytome.tumblr.com, the Manticore only has a lifespan of 20 years.
Oh, man.
Also, some questionable art on this Tumblr page with regards to Manticores.
Are you sure? Tumblr?
Why are you on Tumblr?
Let's all go to... Put it in there, DJ. Put it in the chat.
I Googled Manticore lifespan, and this was the first hit.
Put it in the chat, DJ. I gotta know.
We gotta see that hot Manticore porn.
Creature? Manticore. Yeah, this is about what I expected. 3, 4. 4 is normal. 5 is normal. We're doing pretty good. 6 seems like, I guess, maybe a more technical version of it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not super against any of these. Which one do you think is the weird one?
Number 3 is jarring.
Oh, but DJ, you can't say something is Tumblr jarring. And
well,
like,
yeah,
that's like a whole. You're setting up for something.
Yeah,
different.
That seems like just what the picture was back in like the 1300s or something. I mean, the haircut sucks.
It's like a It's a dumb Rick haircut.
Yeah, it is. It's a goofy,
stupid Rick or
whatever his name is. Yeah,
Doofus Rick.
Doofus Rick. Yeah. Is a Manticore a quest thing? I don't know that.
Do they give you a quest? Actually, typically no. Typically you fight them because they'll fuck you up.
Okay,
Typically
cool.
they're just big old monsters.
Also, there's like questing beasts, right? Like that's just a thing that shows up.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is a thing, yeah.
I know that from comics. So then, yeah, they're a way off. What did you think of the time the Manticore burned down her own restaurant? It seemed like a big deal for her.
Yeah, that was nuts.
I hope she had insurance.
Probably wouldn't pay out on that if you burn down unless she's going to commit insurance fraud. The true crime of a Manticore.
Oh my God.
Insurance fraud.
Yeah, I hope what's his name bringing his dad back to life was able to like kind of offset the losses of the Manticore, Sizzler or whatever she had. Because even later in the movie, it's not like she's created a questing workshop. It's just like she's using the fire to turn on the candles or something. It's pretty much the same thing, except slightly more serious. Yeah, I don't know. It was fine. It was fine. I liked it.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it. I hope they release it on Disney Plus so people can see it, because honestly, I think it's a perfect Disney. I think if this was released on Disney Plus, that would feel very worthwhile. I would probably still have Disney Plus, which I do not anymore.
Well, the interesting thing was that Michelle, you sent me this article, so let me know if I misquote it, but it was something to the effect of, because of the coronavirus, Disney decided to put Frozen 2 onto Disney Plus early. And I'm like, Disney, put Onward on there. Like, put the ones that are actually encouraging people to not go out and stay home.
Yeah.
Like, they've closed the movie theaters in New Jersey.
But
Maybe
okay,
they're holding
so
on to it.
Didn't they only just close the theaters in New Jersey? Like, they only
Yeah.
just made
Yeah.
that decision today. And when we
And,
had
like-
this conversation, they had not yet closed the theaters, in which case the theaters would still have the rights to the movie. Like,
Yes.
so I'm sure that as soon as it's, like, technically out of theaters, if this is still happening, I'm sure they'll throw it on Disney Plus as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Universal is putting their major releases that would have come out this weekend on video on demand,
right.
including
And some
The
that
Hunt.
came out last weekend.
And Warner Brothers is putting Harley Quinn up, which is probably the biggest release out of any of those. Like, that's a pretty, like, not like money making, but probably. Like, I guess Invisible Man probably did pretty well, but if you had to kind of guess in the beginning of the year, I'd say, imagine Harley Quinn would make the most money. And that going on VOD, listen, anybody that's listening to this right now, hashtag release New Mutants. I'd say that's the big one.
Oh
like,
my god!
we gotta get it up there.
No.
Yes,
Because if it never gets released, this game is fun forever.
I know.
Because what I think they should do is, like, 4 or 5 months from now, when this is all over, and, like, it ever comes up, oh, New Mutants, and they'll be like, oh, we released it. When? Back in, March, April.
Yeah.
Was that? Yeah, back in March, April. We released it. It got about $7 million, and, yeah, we're glad we got it out there.
And then it broke.
Lie.
Like, it totally shut down. The place where it was held exploded. So sorry, kids, but you can't watch it. Big old bummer there. Yeah, something like that.
Every digital copy was destroyed. It was insane.
I could see it.
What people are willing to do.
But yeah, I want New Mutants. I hope. I mean, listen, we don't know right now on March 17th at midnight where this is gonna go. It could go.
Happy St. Patrick's
Happy
Day.
St. Patrick's Day. Top of the morning to you. It's literally.
Yeah.
But I hope, this sorts itself out in a way that isn't super difficult for everybody. But, and I'm sure it'll be, a serious situation. But I hope the media companies take this opportunity to try to adapt their traditional models in a way that, like I feel like there's something they can learn from what people want from movies, especially movie theaters, and especially me, someone that sees a lot of movies in theaters and thinks movie theater audiences can't handle movies, like especially quiet action or like suspense movies. So I hope that this is an interesting test case where we can learn that maybe New Mutants is a movie you see in your house, and maybe Onward is a movie you see in your house with your kids. You take your kids. Because, like, if you're renting, honestly, because I think Invisible Man and Hunt are going for $20, that's totally worth it. If you're taking a friend, if you're on a date, you're taking a date to see these movies, easily you're paying $30, $40 with popcorn. So, like, it could be a win for everybody, except for the theaters, but, maybe they need to scale back what they're doing a little bit. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not Johnny Business.
Yeah. It's okay. Maybe one day, Nando, it could be Johnny Business.
Could be
Well,
Johnny.
you're going to have to close down your second YouTube channel then, Johnny Business.
Maybe I'll make that YouTube channel and it'll be the Nathan Fielder of movies and stuff. Be like, hey, I mean, that's pretty much what I do anyway. Be like, hey, don't put this character in the movie. It sucks. Any other thoughts? Let's say this movie does make a lot of money on Disney Plus. If there were a sequel, what do you guys want from that?
No sequel. No.
Really?
No.
Yeah, this
No.
world is going to break in half. Like,
I don't. No, please, no. I don't know, Diggins, Michelle, but no from me.
I don't feel the need for a sequel. If they announced one, I'd be like, oh, I wonder what that's about, and I'd give it a chance. But I did not leave this theater being like, I need more of this.
Same. I agree.
fair. Interesting. Cool.
Before we wrap this up too much,
Yeah.
I would like to hear more about Diggins' personal relationship to this movie.
Yeah, what's your situation, Diggins?
Oh, sure. Well, it's just, so I may have mentioned that I would be doing this in the Invisible Man pod that you haven't heard.
What? Invisible Man pod. The Invisible pod? The one that
The
will
Invisible
never be
pod.
released? You can't hear it?
Exactly. It's in your feed. You just can't see it.
Yeah, it's the inaudible pod. Anyway. Sorry. Go on.
I was in Paris last week with my little sister. My little sister is 8 years younger than me, so it's a fairly significant age difference there. Anyway, we were there on Thursday when suddenly a lot of people thought that we would not be able to come back to America from Paris, which was a stressful time for everybody. But we left that night and got back just fine, no issues. But then the next day after we got back, after being on a trip in a foreign country with my little sister and then being responsible for getting us both home when things suddenly went way wrong in a way that we did not foresee, I saw this movie about how older siblings look out for their younger siblings, and I was like, oh, damn, I played myself. I guess I just get to have emotions now about literally everything that just happened in the past week.
Who doesn't love emotions? That's what the Pixar experience is, you know? You got a full Pixar, a full Pixar emotional experience.
Well, usually I have emotions because it's like, this story is so poignant and it is generalizable to many people's lives. This one was like, hey, do you want to start thinking about everything that happened to you in the past week? Which is a much more specific feeling, and one that I was not prepared to handle.
Yeah, I had a very similar moment with this movie that I wasn't really ready to be gut punched while sitting through a Disney Pixar movie. But it was like real dark, and I don't know. I just wasn't ready to kind of handle it.
Do you guys think they handled the material well?
Yes. It's hard because it's like some of the stuff they touched upon was so touchy of a subject that like it would make anyone uncomfortable to handle it. But in a way, it's important that they're doing stuff like this because you have to think that there are children going through these kinds of things, and it's important for them to realize that these are issues that they might have to face. And I like the idea that these are challenges that Disney and Pixar are kind of like trying to tackle.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I wonder, what it would be like if this movie, how they would do it for someone who didn't have like that older sibling figure to take it through them, like what kind of movie that would look like. Because I think that's what Disney and Pixar kind of do with their more recent animated movies, where they try to take a not like controversial topic, but some kind of on the outside topic and make it relevant for kids. And hey, here's what you can do about it. So
yeah, I mean that's the best of Pixar to some extent. Is this like emotionally mature stories aimed at children. So, it's good that it affected people in that way. And I'm sure that a lot of people have different kind of, not like different opinions, but that's why Pixar has gotten as far as they've gotten, is by
making you cry.
Yeah. That's just taking it easy,
Well, this movie's kind of on the nose with some of this stuff, right? Like Diggins and Michelle, what you're saying, some of it's actually relatable. Like if you look at Coco as an example, Coco takes the idea, like that's not, the experience is not relatable of going to the land of the dead and meeting your dead relatives, but it's a great device and mechanism for saying family is so important, but also dreams are important, and how do you meet that in the middle with wanting to pursue your own dreams, but doing what your family obligations are. And I think Coco nails it in terms of having a message and like a through line that really carries in lockstep with the metaphor and really sends the message home and has a powerful ending. So that's the kind of, and Coco was Pixar. It's that's I think where it is the best of Pixar, where it could go on that level. Again, I thought Onward was very good, but Coco is amazing. I think Coco is one of the best animated movies.
Really?
Anyway, I love Coco, man. I love Coco.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's Coco, then Minions 3, How to Train Your Dragon 2, Shrek Happily Forever After.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started on
power ranking.
Shrappily Ever After.
Shrappily Ever After.
I love it. I think the best movie. What do you think? What is Coco your favorite Pixar movie? DJ, Michelle, all of you guys, Diggins.
It's mine.
DJ,
I would say
Wall-E.
I think mine is still up.
Really? Well, you're all wrong. The answer is Incredibles. It's the best.
Ah, yes.
It's better than Watchmen, which it is. And yeah, No, I love Wally's good. Wally's great. Up is great. Coco seems great.
I just spend a lot of quality time with Remy from Ratatouille.
Oh,
over in
Ratatouille's
France.
great. Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
gotta
I'm feeling
love
up on
Ratatouille.
Ratatouille right now.
Yeah, and if you get it, I think Brad Bird hates normal people and loves special people, right?
Yeah, that's true.
He wants movies about people that not everybody can do everything, but special people, they can do it all. So I love that in, I don't know. I mean, the best movie is not the best movies, but some of the best movies are about an impossible dream. And I feel like Ratatouille is probably the purest example of that, next to like Star Wars. But I just think Incredibles, man, as a product of its time, it was so forward thinking. And, yeah, I don't know. It's great. Looks like shit now. Not that it looks bad, but wow. The first couple minutes of Incredibles have this flashback where Mr. Incredible's like not solving crimes, so like he's on his way to his own wedding, and he's like, fixing things. And one of the things he does is he gets a cat out of a tree. And the officers that come and are like, "Hey, Mr. Incredible, thanks." They look like claymation figures. It is no bueno.
Nando, I know you canceled Disney Plus, but try watching Monsters Inc.
Oh,
It
no.
is unwatchable. Monsters Inc.
so
is
bad.
unwatchable.
But at least they're all like they're not supposed to look real. Obviously, Boo is. But the people are supposed to look kind of strange. If it but Incredibles, if I remember correctly, is the first movie where real humans are the main Pixar characters outside of like what's his name? Outside of like Andy and Sid and stuff. But like the main character is just a guy, and it doesn't hold up. It's one of my favorites, but it looks a little tricky. Yeah. Anyway, basically, Incredibles is bad. Coco is good. Wall-E is even better. Because that's the only Pixar movie currently with a real person in it. So it's never gotten more real than that.
Oh yeah,
Right?
It's true.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
Fred Willard
Yeah.
as
It's got
the
Fred
president.
Willard.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And then
Friend of the Bachelor.
friend of the Bachelor. Is he a friend of
He's
Love
on-
is Blind?
I haven't seen him on Love
Dead
is
to
Blind,
me.
but,
That's what I think.
on every
once
season
Nick
of The Bachelor,
Lachey
it's so weird.
shows up in one of these movies.
Oh,
game
I got a hot
over.
take on Nick Lachey. Whatever.
Okay. And then, anyway, great movies. Okay. Onward. Fun. Watch it once it hits Disney Plus, which I honestly think it will eventually.
I think we're a couple weeks away.
Yeah. Next week, The Hunt. I'm excited. We're all going to VOD it on Friday when it comes out, we're going to record a little bumper that says we just recorded the Invisible Man movie way before coronavirus, so we make a couple of references that seem really confusing.
Like about the sun and about
Yeah.
the outside world,
About
human
about
contact.
about your trip to France where you get coronavirus.
Well,
About March Madness, which is now canceled. But either way, we're going to put that out. We'll put this out soon after, and then we'll do The Hunt episode after that. Then after that, kind of all bets are off. We'll see if New Mutants in that gets released.
Ma.
Wait, are we doing Ma before The Hunt? I forgot.
Listen, man, I'm ready to.
we'll
I'm ready to
figure it
try
out.
podcasts.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll do a podcast every day.
Honestly,
Oh my god, I have naps to take. Okay, we'll figure it out. But yeah. So let's move on to our classic segment. We'll do DJ, Michelle Diggins, myself. DJ, do you have anything to recommend to the fine people?
so I came today with a bunch of recs prepared because I want to give everyone things to do in our upcoming social distancing isolation. So number one, I got a video game, 3 shows, a YouTube video, and 2 podcasts.
God damn.
Wow.
Hell yeah. Number 1, Tom Clancy's The Division. 2, it was like $3 a week ago, and I'm like, $3, I'll pick it up. I picked it up. Honestly, the campaign's pretty good. If you like cover-based shooters, there's a lot to do, and if you like customized equipment and those kind of MMORPGs, I think it's like $10. I think the main campaign is well worth your money. So The Division 2, you can get that on like console or PC, whatever your preferred is. All right, that's one. Two, the next three are Netflix shows. First, almost done with Love is Blind. I've gotten through enough of it where I could fully say I recommend it. It gets better. It's not like The Circle where it's like hot from the beginning.
Yep, it takes time.
But it does pick up.
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite couple?
Oh, man. Barnett and
Oh, my God, you monster.
No, they're so bad.
Barnett's the worst.
Yeah, he's a nightmare person.
I mean,
who's your favorite?
Jessica's the worst, if I want to say.
Yes,
yeah.
Jessica's the worst.
Who's your favorite, if you had to honestly pick a favorite? There's one that I think is the best.
Oh, God. Oh, is it, who's the one with Lauren?
I don't remember. I don't remember any of the guys' names. I only remember the girls' names. Lauren's good.
I like Lauren. I like Mark. I actually don't hate Mark.
God's Perfect Human is Gigi. She is the best one. She's the best.
Fucking Gigi.
She's so funny, and also her problems are so not like strange, but it's like everybody hated me in high school. It's like, really? You? Are you sure? Are you sure you're the person that you were? Because you seem like you do fine, if anything.
Yeah, my favorite was when she was talking about her dry streak. She's like, I haven't had
my God.
a year. I was like, are you kidding me?
382 days and 16 minutes. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Did you not leave your house? Were you in jail? Why?
I'm sorry, Kate Upton with an accent? What's your what's getting to you? Yeah, no. She's my favorite just because she's so silly. With that bit, I do think Barnett is the funniest. And his relationship is the worst. Although I do think Jessica's relationship is the worst because of how silly episodes 1 through 3 were with her and Barnett. But yeah, I would say it's worth watching. Obviously, it's garbage. It's the worst thing you'll watch, but it's still kind of fun.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's it's a dating. I mean, I think Whatchamacallit is better. I think The Circle is better. It's a better, more interesting show, but it's still fun to watch.
So yeah, Love is Blind. I think it's worth a shot. The Witcher. I'm halfway through The Witcher. Also picks up. I think it's really good. We check out The Witcher. So I know Michelle watched it. I played the game, the most recent game. And I love it, but Michelle hadn't played the game and she liked it, so I think it's good if you're just into fantasy in general. You don't really need to know any of the game stuff or anything like that.
Really? Because I feel like it's very complicated if you don't know the whole story.
Oh no, Michelle, you didn't know a lot going into it.
I knew nothing going into it, and I was fine. Unless it's very possible I missed a ton of stuff. But I don't know. All the
timeline stuff I find quite confusing.
Oh, it wasn't too confusing. I picked up on it. It was a little confusing in the beginning, but I got it. After I was like, oh, they're time jumping. I get it, and that was it.
I feel you. No, I get it. You're a genius. You're a wizard. You're
so smart.
You're the Hermione of the podcast. That's why you're not on usually. You'd break it with your you know too much. But Witcher's fun. They're gonna do a new one, right? I think they're getting a new.
They're getting season 2.
Is there a story from the actual games that you kind of want?
I don't think so. Just because the game is its own contained storyline, and it takes place so far ahead of the show that I'm cool with it just being out there.
Yeah.
So
see, I've never played the first one or even read the story. Is it as far back in time as the third one is compared to this?
Well, it's funny. What's funny is the third game time jumps. So I think parts of it might get there, but so far everything is before anything in the game. So yeah. And again, I'm only halfway through the season, so the caveat there. Something might happen where that changes, and if so, my bad.
Interesting. Okay.
So that, and then third Netflix thing, Castlevania Season 3 dropped. I've talked about Castlevania every season it comes out. I love that show. It's my favorite thing. It's very gory, but it's a quick little animated thing. If you like gore, or if you like anything Castlevania-related, Dracula-related, this show's for you. Okay, so just a couple more things.
Oh my gosh.
So Phil Swift is the guy... What's up?
We got plenty of time. We got all our
Yeah,
quarantine
all right,
time.
all right.
We need things.
I'm almost done. So Phil Swift is like the Flex Seal guy. Have you ever seen him? Nando made that joke about him cutting out the bottoms of boats.
He owns a submarine that's definitely going to sink one day.
He has a YouTube video. There's a YouTube video that compiles all this stuff. It's like 5 minutes long. It's hilarious. Just watch it because it's fun. You need some levity. Okay, last two things. So, on a slightly more serious note, if you want to keep yourself informed with all like the goings on of the coronavirus stuff, I know there's so much stuff out there. So there's two podcasts I found that I think are like pretty good for what's going on. The first one is called America Dissected with Abdul El Saeed.
Oh yeah, I hear that's a fun one.
Yeah, so the first season he did, which is kind of about healthcare in America and like some things we could do to fix the healthcare system. And now he's doing a season all on the coronavirus, and super well informed. He's like a former city health commissioner, and I think he ran for like a Congress,
Governor of
or
Michigan,
something like that.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's very funny. Like, not that any of this is funny, but he brings like a good head to the situation. And then just another one, coronavirus fact versus fiction with Dr. Sanjay Gupta from CNN. That's just like a quick one where he kind of answers listener questions and just gives you the latest. And it's just two pretty easy, accessible ways to keep up with all the goings on for, however long this will last. So, all right, that's it. I'm done.
Great.
Those are all of my recommendations.
Michelle, give us a rec or two. Let's hear them. What do you got?
Okay.
Or 7.
Or like 20.
Yeah, give us as many as you want. Recommend a show, and then recommend every individual episode of that show that you've seen so far.
Okay, so the one thing that is difficult is because DJ and I do watch a lot of the same shows. I will say I highly recommend Witcher. I do think I did it in the wrong order. I think watching the show and then playing the last game is the wrong order. I say that because the last game is a number of years old, and the graphics are not quite up to par with other games that I've been playing. And it's kind of hard to jump back like 7 years in like graphics because it doesn't look good. Anyway, but so I'm enjoying the game otherwise. The show is very good. Castlevania is amazing. I got halfway through Luigi's Mansion, which I highly recommend. I also want to give a PSA that Nintendo Switches are very susceptible to water damage.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say they're like on sale now. That was a bummer.
No.
I was ready to order mine, yeah.
Oh, no. They're very susceptible to water damage, meaning if a little bit of water gets inside your Switch, your whole Switch will be wrecked. The warranty doesn't cover water damage. And it is cheaper to have Nintendo fix your Switch, but if you don't have an SD card, you will lose all of your progress. Like how I lost all of my Pokemon progress, and I lost all of my Luigi's Mansion progress. So here's a PSA to keep your Switches dry, especially because my biggest wreck is that Animal Crossing New Horizons comes out on Friday.
Hell yeah, baby.
And that's what I'll be doing for like the rest of this year. My whole quarantine.
The entire quarantine, just Animal Crossing.
My island is going to be so perfect. I'm going to make best friends with all of my island villager visitor guys. I'm so excited. I can't enough wreck it. Oh, and I just wanted to give 2 shout outs real quick. So, and I apologize if I butcher your name, but on Twitter, Roger Rozansky and Ben Landis, who stood up for me when DJ posted that mean tweet. JK. They both said I was great. They appreciated me on the Frozen podcast. I thought that was very nice. So yeah, shout out to you guys. You're great.
Cool. Very good. Diggins, what do you got? What are your recs? Throw a couple in. People need some ways to kill time.
I have brought great shame and dishonor upon my household, for I have only one rec.
Oh my God, we'll stretch it out. Make sure you got to sell it so that people, because next week we're going to have a rec contest. We want everybody to tweet at nitpickingpod, which recs you are the most invested in. So, Diggins, give a sales pitch that makes yours seem the most entertaining.
Well, I have an advantage here because there's a great cultural juggernaut behind my rec. which is a cultural juggernaut I have absolutely no history or interaction with. And in fact, I did this entirely on a whim and had fun with it, which is I'm making a game demo. Actually, the game is not out yet, but the demo is. And the demo, it turns out, is a lot of fun, which is the demo for Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I should have wrecked that too. Damn it.
I have never played Final Fantasy VII. I have no history with that game whatsoever. But because I was locked up for quarantine, I was like, well, that's a fun way to kill an hour. Might as well check this out. And it turns out it's a really, really good demo. I mean, the game looks amazing. They completely changed the gameplay to more of a action Final Fantasy 15 Kingdom Hearts style gameplay, but they were like, what if we took those and made them like fun and good?
It's true.
Which they actually managed to do, because it's like you do have your kind of mashing just attack button, but mashing attack button also builds up a gauge that you can use to use special moves. So you want to actually end up doing things in combat instead of just mashing the attack button. And you can control your other party members, you can give commands, or you can switch to them to use their special abilities, because they actually function completely different than the main character. So there's a reason why you would do that. And it just seems really, really well thought out and completely different from the original game. Like this really is a remake in the truest sense. They completely rebuilt that game from the ground up. I have it on good authority that it is very faithful in terms of spirit, and even like including like cool specific things and little nods to the original game. But it's very much like doing its own thing at the same time. So it seems really cool. I'm probably going to actually get that game now, even though I had no interest in it, because the demo is that good. So you should definitely check that out. If you have a PS4, you can just download it for free off the PlayStation Store. So you should check that out if you can.
Very good.
I have to say, what makes me wary, and I'm like a huge Final Fantasy VII stan. It's my favorite Final Fantasy game. One of my favorite video games. I've played through it multiple times. We don't know how many copies $60 games are going to have to buy, because like, so it comes out April 11th, but it's not the whole game. It's like a part of a game. But they're releasing like $60 segments, but we don't know how many. So am I going to wind up paying like $300 to play Final Fantasy VII? Maybe.
Yeah, and you will.
Oh, fuck yeah, I will.
You will.
I'd pay $3,000.
Yeah, goddamn right you will, and you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. Take your fucking Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I'm only wrecking the demo anyway, and the demo's free, so...
Yeah. It's a good demo, too. It's like an hour long, so it's good.
Yeah, I hear it's fun. I might try it out, even though I don't know anything about Final Fantasy, so I'm just kind of interested.
I mean, honestly, even if you don't know anything, the gameplay's good.
Yeah, and
So.
I've been super curious about it as a Final Fantasy player.
Let me ask you this, Nando. Where do you fall on eco-terrorists?
Oh, I'm pro. I hope they get
good.
us. Yeah, I'm on.
You'll love this
Well,
game.
okay, what is Thanos? What does he subscribe to?
I wouldn't call him eco-terrorism. I would call him, like, weird Randian bullshit.
Okay, then, yeah, not that. I don't know. Listen, I want people to live, but we got a lot of them. Not to, and I want half of them to
Eco-terrorism is more like blowing up oil refineries so oil companies stop existing.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Listen, I got a lot of opinions about that. If we ever do a second podcast, we'll find out. I love that show about what if what's her name was a zombie, and that had a lot of opinions on that, surprisingly. What if the Charlie's Angel, what the heck is her name? Drew Barrymore was a zombie? Yeah, you guys watch that?
I watched the first season.
Fun show. It gets into eco-terrorism.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's these troubled times we live in. So you're going to throw the Final Fantasy, what is it?
Seven Remake.
7 Remake. Cool. All right, I got a couple, but only because I don't think they will hit with anyone. Because they are quite prohibitive in terms of... not all of them, but some. So first of all, I haven't read this yet, but I'm excited for it. Jonathan Hickman has a new book out called Decorum. It seems to be his own thing. It's an Image imprint. I'm very excited about that. things I actually recommend based on my own, and Jonathan Hickman, for people that don't remember, is like he's the guy that restarted the X-Men franchise recently, comic books, and he is the best Fantastic Four run in recent memory, and he did Secret Wars where Doctor Doom took over the multiverse, which is a lot of fun. I want to recommend the first issue, and I don't even know if the second one's come out yet, because it'll probably be out soon, but who knows when we'll be able to actually hold on to it. Strange Adventures by Tom King, Mitch Gerads, and Evan Shatner, Doc Shatner. It is Shaner. It's a story about Adam Strange, who's this like weird, like kind of Rocketeer-esque, Tommy A. Smith, Flash Gordon. What if a cool American hero went to the future and fought the aliens and space and whatnot? But the story is about him coming back to Earth and trying to kind of live his life, but he gets caught up in as far as we know so far, very human kind of like what's the word? Controversy? Not necessarily not like Me Too, because that's not what it is, but it's something to that effect. Like you'll see when you read it, but I think Tom King wrote the Vision series from a couple of years back, and he also wrote Mr. Miracle, which is the best comic of the last 2 or 3 years. And so this seems to be in that vein. It seems like some people don't love... I mean, Tom King also wrote the Batman comics where Kite Man is a big part of things, and that was terrific. But some people don't love what he did with Batman. It seems like Tom King's biggest strength comes from writing stories about characters who nobody cares about, and he's able to take complete creative license with. So I'd say Strange Adventures. However, we are only one out of what I believe is going to be 12 issues in, so maybe not completely worth, maybe you don't want to read the whole thing now, or you don't have, you're gonna wait till the trade comes out. So I'll throw this out as my full recommendation. God Country by Donny Cates. So this is a book. I don't know when this came out. It's kind of recent. Donny Cates currently writes Thor, and he wrote a lot of the Venom stuff recently. So he's a big Marvel guy now, but the story is very separate from all of that. It is about a man whose father lives in, I want to say, Texas, and his father has Alzheimer's. So he's kind of out of it, and it's his job to take care of his father, who lives in a house alone, and it's a whole big, it's a lot of big business. It's difficult for him. And then a sword from space appears on Earth. His dad finds the sword, and while holding it, he is able to regain all of his memories and mental faculties, and there are alien forces or something like that coming to Earth to try to get the sword from him. I'm about halfway through it, and it is very interesting. Art is gorgeous by something Shaw. I don't know his name, but this I believe you can get in its entirety. So I would say Comixology or your local comic book shop or whatever makes sense for you. Because I think it's so far. I think it's fantastic, and it's a very unusual, unusual story. In terms of just being something kind of left of center, and it's not about Spider-Man or the X-Men or anything like that. But it's very interesting. The only other thing I'll say real quick, haven't read it yet. I got the new Cable book by Gary Duggan, who wrote Marvel 1872, a series I really enjoyed. So I would definitely say that's probably worth a look in the new kind of X-Men series. He also wrote a lot of the good Deadpool that people really like Deadpool, Dead Presidents, and some of the newer stuff. That's all I got. I know I throw a lot out there. It's all comics, so if you go on Comixology or some of those applications, you can find it. I'm sure you can find God Country, so read through that. It's a lot of fun. Next week, is it Ma or is it Hunt? Do we want to give people a week to watch Hunt? And because Hunt comes out on Friday, which is probably when this podcast will be released or something like that. Or we'll release this and Invisible Man at the same time. Do we want to give people a week to watch Hunt? We'll do Ma next week.
Sure.
I think that's reasonable because everybody can download Ma right now. That's VOD.
All right. So Ma next week, and then...
Diggins, you down for that?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's Ma
All right,
time.
cool.
Do you guys know what Ma is?
Yes,
Okay,
I'm
cool.
aware of it.
It's Octavia Spencer. It's a thriller, horror, suspense, something or other. It's apparently not great, but it's probably a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love me some Octavia Spencer.
Yeah, she's in Spider-Man. So that's next week. Anybody got anything to plug?
Michelle?
Yeah, I'm sure we got something.
I started crocheting. I might make crochet Disney ears.
You have an Etsy store.
Yeah.
What the hell's the name of my Etsy store? Hold on.
It's sorry, I can't remember because I had this. I'm trying to think of a funny one.
It's MC Marvelous Market.
Patreon.com/Nando V Movies. That's a good Patreon. No, sorry, what was it?
MC Marvelous Market.
Yes, that one. You should go there. I have
if you
cool jewelry and some clothing things and soon-to-be crochet items.
Cool.
Yeah.
What are you going to crochet?
Some
Anything
nice...
specific? Like dolls or like clothing?
So I started off with scarves. But I really want to make like Mickey ears and like other fun little things, like those little animals and stuff.
Oh my god, yeah! Like some people, I mean, people are crocheting Baby Yodas. Those are popular.
I've seen those.
There is not a single piece of Baby Yoda merchandise in Disneyland Paris, and I, for one, am furious.
That's offensive. Did you get any pins, Diggins?
I did get
angel.
some pins.
Very good. What a hero. I'm glad you came out with something. Did you get any Justin Hammer pins? Did they have those at Disneyland Paris?
Unfortunately, they had all sold out immediately because they were so popular.
They are so popular. Well, I'll wait. Michelle's definitely going to make me a crochet Justin Hammer doll. I'm very excited about that. So look
use
for
code
that.
nitpicking for 10% off.
Yeah.
Commissioning it right now.
I will buy them from Michelle and sell them at cost to anybody who wants them. They don't exist, and they never will, because there is no way to make that guy. He's just a guy in a suit, really. But
listen, if they can make 1 million guy in a suit Funko Pops, we can make one crochet guy in a suit.
You'd think so, right? God, would I buy them all if I could? But yeah. But what else? So that's your recommendation. Anybody writing anything fun?
The universe is conspiring to force me to write about The Last Skywalker, or Rise of Skywalker. I already forget the name of the movie. I'm spiraling.
Duel of the Fates, I'm pretty sure is what it's named, as far as I'm concerned.
God.
Also, The Phantom Menace. That's another
I'm
name
not committing to it yet, but I'm very close.
Listen, I'd love someone to write videos for my channel that I'm not writing. So you figure it out. I have nothing but time to produce them, but I only have so many brain cells to write them. So
I'm going to be actually writing reviews for Motherland, which
there
is
we go.
Coming out tomorrow, technically.
What
Very
is that?
excited. It's like a show about from what I know, which is not a ton, but it's a show about witches living in Salem. It's like modern day witches living in Salem.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed interesting. I figured I'll give it a go.
It's tough because there seem to be 2 shows called Motherland, and one is
there's a 2016 one. This is Motherland: Fort Salem.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to read the IMDb summary, which is just a sentence. A trio of witches are trained to become powerful weapons for the American military.
Oh, that sounds great.
That is not what I was expecting.
That's not what I was expecting either.
I'm down for that.
All
That
right.
sounds awesome.
Well, it premieres tomorrow on Freeform, and I will be reviewing it, and it will be on the Pop Break. So,
well, maybe I'll watch it. It's got all the actresses we know and love. Jessica Sutton from Escape Room. It's got
Oh my God.
Taylor Hickson
Bad movie.
from Deadpool, who plays a very small part in that. And also from Deadly Class, a show that should have been great but wasn't. And then we've got Ashley Nicole Williams from Motherland. So, stuff. We'll see.
Yo, this show seems insane. Set in an alternate America where witches ended their persecution over 300 years ago by cutting a deal with the burgeoning government to fight for their country, the series follows 3 young women from basic training in combat magic into early development. In this world, the traditional roles of gender and power are flipped, with the more dominant women on the front lines fighting looming terrorist threats that are familiar to our world, but with supernatural tactics and weapons.
I mean, it seems really cool. That pitch is great.
Yo.
Pitch Which is certainly something.
Yeah.
Seems awesome.
I'm on board. Yeah. DJ, anything to promote on your own end?
No, I'm good. Stay safe, everybody.
All right. I'm probably going to make a video soon, but we'll see about that. I don't know when it's going to come out, so I don't want to. I'll promote it when it exists. All right. Thank you so much for coming on, Michelle.
Yeah, no
as our
problem.
Disney expert.
Always a blast.
You never know.
We'll see you in 9 months for Mulan.
Mulan or Soul. Who knows which one will come out first?
Yeah.
Or some other thing. Who knows?
Who knows?
All right.
New Mutants a Disney movie?
Like, kind of. Technically, it's owned by Disney. It's like an X-Men Fox.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, listen, it was probably created by, like, one of those old 1920s companies that made movies about people stealing trains. But it's only been around for so long that it seems to be a Fox movie. I would say, you know what? I wonder what I would say, I want to figure out what the original New Mutants run was. It was by, Chris Claremont. So 1982, if you can find this, the original run of New Mutants was, or is that, I think that was the Demon Bear Saga? No, that doesn't seem right. The Demon Bear Saga, was by Chris Claremont. So I would say, if you want to find something fun, 1990, so it's New Mutants 18 to 21. It seems like the movie will kind of skew towards that. I'm definitely going to read some New Mutants in the near future. I've been reading the new stuff, but I've never gone back to the old stuff. But that's definitely where the movie will end up. So definitely give that a look, because hopefully we'll talk about that in the future. But yeah, let's sign off, guys. Until next week, I am at Nando View Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Zippy by Day.
I'm at This Is an Odd Name.
I'm at M. Crotchy Designs.
Everybody stay safe, wash your hands, stay away from each other. Have a good week. We love you guys. Woohoo!
See ya.
We love you.